That's why Andy can't be on today, because he shaved his head. He looks like a criminal. So it's something from Crime Watch.
Convicted.
Got a bit of a Hitler sweep going on actually there.
Yeah, I've noticed that in the thing. It is a bit, isn't it? Not this one.
Hello and welcome to the Flooring Models live show. Here we are with you, 7:30 on the 24th of September 2020. Good evening, gentlemen. Are we all good?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm fine.
Where he is.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, that's it. You want to give me a finger like that, a little like Hitler impression.
Sod off.
It is looking a bit like it, to be honest. You have to be careful. It's all this Luftwaffe stuff you keep doing. Adolf over there. Anyway, good evening. Lovely to have you along as always. We're going to be with you for the next sort of hour and a half or so. We've got loads of your great questions to come up and to go through. Good evening to everybody who is on live chat as well. Just for a giggle, I'm actually testing something out tonight for what we call an ultra low latency show. But so this is to tie in obviously with Sunday. Brilliant segue. Look at that. For the auction, which we'll discuss at length, no doubt, during the evening. Because obviously we're just trying to work out how soon it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say now in a minute, and as soon as I say it, type now as well on the actual chat, and we can see how many seconds we've got in lag form. Because apparently this is like an ultra low. So type now, but don't press enter, right? And when I say now, we'll go for it. Okay, going in 3, 2, 1, now.
Now.
That's it, now. Look at that. There's no... Did you see how quick that is? There's literally no lag.
No lag.
There's no lag. So that should be absolutely fantastic for the auction. So that's it. So we've lowered the bit rate just a little bit as we do this. But right. From what I said, as soon as I said now and then looked at the screen, you were all typing it. I've already said now. So it looks like we've cured lag. We have no lag. So don't say anything because I can't hack us off. No one gets into trouble because otherwise we really will be in trouble. But there we go. That seems to be quite good then. That worked really, really well. So hopefully on Sunday night's auction, 7 o'clock, shameless plugs, we will should have a lot of fun with that one. So at least we've cured that problem. So we've lowered the little bit rate. So if we look a bit fuzzy around the edges, that's what it is. But at least we have no lag whatsoever. So good job. Very good.
So we're back to normal then for me, fuzzy around the edges.
Well, yeah, this is true.
Especially when I'm in here on a Thursday.
So that's it. So you are now really with us live as well. We got I can't believe actually, I was expecting maybe to get it down to like 5 seconds. But for it to be instant, that's brilliant. So yes, very good. Fantastic.
Cool.
Anyway, how you doing, John? What have you been up to this week?
I'm good, thank you. I've been working on the Harrier. Hang on.
Well, he's getting all techie with his cameras now, isn't he?
Yeah,
Wait for it.
Professional now.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So yeah, deckled the underside last night.
Very nice.
So just sort of let them dry off overnight, and then I've just got the top ones to do. So hopefully the next few days that'll all come together and be done.
Very good. Looking very nice. There's something very nice about a Harrier with a wraparound camo. We like that one.
There is, yeah. Definitely.
Very good. And is that some type of biplane?
No.
Oh,
it's a tri-
No, no, him.
Oh.
What is that?
that?
So what you got there, John?
Oh, that is me little Fokker.
Right. Well, I've been saying that for years, but what's the kit?
It's the Eindecker that I'm doing for the movie group build.
Oh, right. So you're doing Wonder Woman, are you?
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
Very good. Excellent.
Hey, won't we all?
Well, true. I'm not going to lie there. Anyway, that's enough of my evenings. Well, it's why we're out of Super Lube again. Anyway, it's better than using it on your airbrush. Right, Matt, what have you got there?
Which bit?
Well,
this
both.
bit or this bit?
Well, Where
This
do you want
is
to
why I've
start?
just started my Marder 2,
Very
which
nice.
is obviously a dragon kit, and it's coming on. Hold on, I'll just flick to my overhead if you can see it. So, actually, do you know what? It's dragon and it's very good. Well, nearly a full interior. Obviously, got your driver's compartment, gearbox. I don't think it comes with an engine, if I remember, but it's all covered up anyway. Once you've got that on, you ain't going to see a lot. But we was trying to work out, look how the seat is and look where the pedals are.
Yeah, we got this problem. We've had this with other kits. Wasn't it the Black Widow where you sat 12 foot from the pedals?
Well, it's an illusion. The
Oh.
seat's tiny in the real tank. And I've actually put a 35th figure in, sitting down to see, and he reaches fine.
Oh, right.
But can you see the gearbox shaft, drive shaft?
Yeah.
Poor bugger has to have his legs underneath to reach the pedals.
Oh, right. Okay.
Drive it So
Well, that keeps his shins warm.
I bet it. Yeah. Can you imagine? That's like be horrible, wouldn't it? Really, if you got trapped. Do you know what I mean? By the drive shafts.
Yes.
But yeah, so that is. Because I was thinking that seat's in the wrong position. That's not right. But literally, I dug one of my spare figures out and put them in, and it's fine. It's just the seat is tiny. So obviously, it's a compact little tank because it's based on a Panzer II.
Yeah.
Which weren't massive, were they? So, but yeah, it's actually You know what? It's very nice. Quite enjoying it. And then obviously, we'll flick back, and you can see what's arrived. So there you go. So I've got the big fucker.
He's the big fucker.
Yeah, they've come in. So Andy's been invoicing this afternoon. So if you have pre-ordered one with or without figure, you would have had an invoice. So check your inboxes or your PayPals or whatever, and we'll get them boxed and sent out.
Absolutely. Now, we will just say now, there's a little bit of a thing going around at the moment about that the kits have got problems. So as far as we are aware, and to be honest, I've got one coming to me, so I'm going to do a review on it anyway. The initial release was suspended after there was some quality control issues. So Matt's going to have a squiffy through his now just to see.
What's your short shot?
Yeah, salt's more in it. But as far as we're aware, we haven't got those ones. Ours have been since the problem was found and was dealt with. But apparently there was a quality control issue and there were some short shots in the run. And a lot of people who had the first batch of them that went out complained about it. So they did cease doing them, checking them all, and then any that had dodgy ones, they were fixing the problems. That's why there was a delay initially when they got released. So, that was the thing to that. So we're hoping that obviously all the ones we've got should be absolutely fine because ours are post that problem. But there are reports coming in, and I've been told as well that the people have got them and they've got short shots in them. But that's what we've been told anyway.
Yeah, that's what they're like. So there's the resin bust of Manfred.
Yeah.
This is actually quite a nice bust.
It is a nice one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nicely sculpted. So that's quite cool. And then typical in... I don't know where the short shot was, to be honest, but...
No, I don't know either where it actually
really
was. It's just everyone was telling me it's got a short shot in it and the kit's rubbish and blah, 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 and it's not, but as far as I know, they fixed it all.
Get two props. So... I've had a quick look, but I can't see anything sort of jumps out. I mean, you'll do a proper review when you get yours, so obviously, but
I think they were blindingly obvious from what I've heard.
Yeah, I can't see how that jumps out. I mean, Meng are pretty good like that, aren't they, to be honest?
Well, that's why we were saying I can't understand why, because I've never had a short shot from Meng, and I've built lots of their stuff, and it's never been a problem. So
I've got 3 props. You get 3 props with it. Must have gone for each version.
One for each wing.
Yeah, I get a couple of tails as well. Look.
Yeah, right. So there's obviously different versions out there. Yeah.
Different cowlings. So that's got a different cowling, but that looks perfect. To be honest, that looks absolutely bang on. I can't see. It's winged up wings, if that makes sense. You get a little bit of photo etch. And, well, yeah, that for what counts as a clear part, and then obviously.
Yeah, what are the instructions like? Are they winged up wings-esque, or are they back to their usual way?
No, they're not. The winged up wings-esque. I had a peek earlier.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll have a quick through. I'll tell you what, there's a cracking scheme in it. A few cracking schemes apart from the red one.
What, a red one, I was going to say.
No, honestly. You get all this, look. The info.
Yes.
There is a bit in English. It's in every language, I think.
Right.
But, yeah, so... get the instructions out. Yeah,
Apparently the broken part was the upper wing.
the part was the upper wing, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I've never built a wing nut wings kit. You have, but I presume they're pretty similar.
Yes.
So, and then obviously spoofing at the back, and then there you go. There's your Richthofen,
All right.
Werner Voss. Yeah.
Good luck butchering them. Yeah.
Hermann Gorins.
All right. That's when he could fit in a plane.
Walter Gottasch, is it? Gottasch, I think with German, which I think is quite a nice scheme actually, with the chevrons on the tail.
Yeah.
So that's the 4 schemes you get. So
Very nice.
that'll be quite a fun thing to try and replicate, won't it? The stripy bit.
Yeah.
That's oils all day, innit? Get
Yeah,
your oil
go,
paint
yeah, definitely.
kit. So, but right, so it was the upper wing, was it?
Apparently it was the upper wing.
Well, let me find it. I'll just put it back in here. Right, no short shots on that.
No.
I know, I did see Brett Green's review of it, and on his, where there's a bit of the upper cockpit that attaches to the wing, that had snapped on the sprue. But he said it was an easy fix. It wasn't anything that was,
I mean, there's some delicate parts, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I presume that's wheel bracing, is it? Is that for the undercarriage?
Pass.
I don't know. Like I say, you'll do. But I've got no broken bits. I presume that's the cockpit one.
Again,
Well,
from what I've
there
heard
was-
from people, it's
if
proper
there were
short
issues,
shots.
an
It
issue,
wasn't
fair play
broken
to Meg
parts.
for putting it right.
Yeah, but I know Brett Green's obviously had a broken part. From what I've heard, it was short shots. It was actually physically, there wasn't enough plastic in the kit. So, but again, apparently they jumped on it straight away. As soon as they were made aware of it, they checked the kits they had, they fixed the problem, and obviously all the second run of them, probably or whatever, didn't have the issue. But again, it seemed really funny because I've never known anything from Meng to have that problem before.
No.
There was obviously a quality control issue at that point.
Yeah. Anyway, so looks quite cool. But hopefully they'll bring some more out. Get the moulds and they can, bring some of the more popular ones out, shall we say? So. Looks impressive.
Yeah, it does.
So, and in other news for anybody who, because yesterday's show, just while I'm on, the tornadoes are inbound.
Right.
So they will be with us next week for sure. So again, you'll Andy will be sorting that out as soon as I give him the nod. So
Yeah.
So that's BM stuff. Shall we move on and do some?
Cool, very good. Right, I've done this little guy. As you know, if you've been following along, he's looking the part and coming through and everything else like that. So he's pretty much done, to be honest. I've just got the fine details and again, some little bits and pieces to go on this one, but he's come along very, very nicely. I have to say, I tell you what, I've had so much fun with this little kit. Because it's just a dream. It goes together very, very nicely. It's a little bit easier to film and all the usual bits as well. So from that point of view, it's been one of those ones which is really, really nice. Nice, and again, when you're talking 18 quid and we got it for 17.99, honestly, everyone should build one of these. And the weird thing is to this is obviously because when you poke him at the camera like that, it looks like he's smiling. And then from the side he's a little bit more off, but if you look at him proper head on, it looks like he's smiling, bless him. So but yeah, no, beautiful little kit, goes together really, really well. Highly recommend it. And again, if you want something that's like mojo building, we were talking about, me and Matt, a couple of weeks ago on the PM show, that again, when you're talking for the money, you don't expect it to be as good as it is. Like we were talking about with Tamiya and some of the Academy stuff, really nice kits, fantastic straight out of the box. That's another little gem. An Edard sometimes you think are going to be quite complicated because obviously all the stuff that comes with them. And again, with the weekend editions, because you don't have it and you're not tied into it, you can just get on with it. So yeah, from a mojo point of view, or a nice, fun, straightforward build, no surprises, does what it says on the tin, then yeah, highly recommend it. Be a nice one on that one. So yeah, the good old weekend editions, we like those. They're very, very nice indeed. So anyway, you got the next part of that will be up with you tomorrow. There's another part on Monday. There's another part next week. So I've got them all lined up. We're all on a roll with this one. But hopefully I'll get it finished off tomorrow. And then, as I say, we'll be on to the next project. So I'm nicely ahead. I've got some stuff in the bag, as we say. Right, okay. So if thought we would have a look at this week's offerings. Oh, God. Throw us in.
Oh,
Hold on. Where are we? There we go.
Who's
Now,
done that?
Andy I can never pronounce his name. That's why under my car it just says Andy Newish.
Yeah.
When he phones up and I'm in the car, it just says Andy Newish. But yes, so this is Andy's fabled now Mojo type build as well. He's been working on his Airfix Curtis Tomahawk or Warhawk or whatever hawk you want to call it. So anyway, he used Tamiya AK real colours, Edard harnesses, easy line for the antenna, fluorine dark wash, oils and pigments.
And very nice it looks too.
It does. Good job.
I
Very
do
nice.
like in desert camo.
It is, yeah. I do like the Warhawks and the Spitfires in that. It looks very nice.
It does. And the Hurricane with the big cannons hanging off it.
Yes, yes. And
So,
again.
Yeah.
And that definitely looks a lot better now he's weathered it and all the rest of it. It doesn't look purple anymore.
That's a good shade of azure blue.
It does. Looks fine like that, doesn't it? I think as soon
Yeah.
as you put other contrast colours into it, it works very, very nicely.
What do you think, Don?
It's a very nice kit. There is something about those colours though that,
Yeah, I agree.
and at the end of the day, it's got a shark's mouth on it, so it's cool.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. Because no one's looking at the rest of it. Very, very nice. I did see, what was it, some yak the other day. It's one of the new releases, and it's got a shark's mouth where it looks like a monster because they've done it so the teeth of it go right from the top of the engine to the bottom,
Right.
and the eyes are back here. So it looks like a giant serpent coming up, but it's a great way of doing it. So it's literally got a massive mouth. It looks like it's going to swallow things. So that's a good one. Instead of just a little shark's mouth like that underneath, it's the entire head of it is up here, and I thought that's quite a nice one. Anyway, nice one, Andy. Very nicely done. Very cool.
Well done, mate.
Very
Yeah.
good. Next up, we've got Tony. And what we got here? So this is the Tamiya Panther G late version. And so there we go. Very nicely done indeed.
Very nice. Nice kit, that.
Yeah. Nice Tamiya classic kit.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Nice job all on that. Like all the weather in. Say nice with the rubbly base as well.
Yeah.
Nice
Good
tank
job.
track, and yeah. It's like what's not to love?
That's it, exactly. It's a pump attack.
Yeah, I like the way he's even done like the wheels and the track over the rubble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
That's
job.
normally what I do as well to hide where it's gone wrong. Put a boulder there.
Chuck a jerry can on the
Yeah,
back.
chuck
of
a
it.
jerry can next to it or something just to hide it.
Get a
Where the
stone
joint
on it.
is. Nice figure as well, working down in there. Very nice. I like this one. I presume he's giving it some, like I tend to do as well, that sort of metallic scrub on the edges. So, you know, you're not trying to make it sort of chipped. It just gives it that weighted, heavy look to it. By just giving it a very light sort of dry brushing just on the edges with a sort of reflective silver. So you use like a dark iron and things like that. So it looks metal and it just makes everything, give it a more weighted presence to it. But no, like that. Very nice indeed. Very good job. Okay, up next we've got, good one this,
Oh, look.
something from my childhood.
Yes.
Bit of Mad Max. This is Thunderdome, wasn't it? If I remember, was it Thunderdome, this one?
Yeah, I think it is. Isn't it? No, Mad Max 2.
Two, isn't it?
Was it
2, that one is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. In the third one, he had that weird crop duster converted, wasn't it? Going
Yeah.
round. So, yes, very nice. Very nice. So this is the 124th Ashima Mad Max 2 with a gyrocopter and figure. Yeah, this is the book. He had the snake, didn't he? And the dog was
Yeah.
trying to eat the snake.
Yeah, it's the one with like the oil refinery in it. That's
Yeah, that was it.
Siege.
With the tanker.
I said, is that the one where he's converted little Nella into that? The gyrocopter.
I don't know actually what you used for the gyrocopter. Did you say?
I think that's actually in the kit as well, and it part
Oh,
of
is
the
it? Did
kit.
you get it with it?
Oh, is it really? Oh, I thought that was a conversion of a little Nelly or something. Ah.
Very nice. But lovely work on, as to say, with the weathering and the dust and the look on it. I think that looks really, really nice. Good job.
It's a proper muscle car, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Anything where you've got the header coming out the top, that works.
It's blower out the bonnet.
Is that health and safety? Would you be allowed that now? You know, they're worried about your bullseyes in the windscreen with your head. What if you hit that? Got your hand stuck in it.
I tell you, you'd be sucked in, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah, you get drawn into it like a corsair.
Sucked in and spat out the exhaust with the end.
Very nice indeed. Very cool. Nice little diorama base with it. But as I say, lovely work on the car and the weathering and just that dirt and everything. It's nice where the dirt on the ground, as I say, meets up beautifully with the actual model itself. Sets it off very, very
cool.
nicely. There we go. Look.
The real one.
There's the real one.
Mel Gibson and his mullet.
Yeah, when he was young. Now he's about 105 now, isn't he? Okay, very nice job on that. Very, very good. Love that. Okay, next up we've got a bike. So this is Andy's done the 1/9 scale Triumph 3.
Ooh.
Very, very nice.
Old Dictionary kit.
Yeah.
Which is an old Esky kit, if I remember. So
I was
that's
going
an
to
old
say,
one.
it is a bit of a classic kit. It gets re-released every now and again, doesn't it?
Yeah. They still stand up all right today.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it's a nice job on the paintwork as well. It's got that nice flat, because of the scale,
Yes.
It's always difficult. When you get into the larger scales, trying to get things to look right can be a little bit of a pain. Because obviously if you've got that standard sort of flat and satins and that, you know, that's great for sort of smaller scales. But when you're in the big stuff, you want it to look a little bit more natural. But no, I think he's nailed that. Very, very nicely done. Very cool. Nice work on the seats and with the bags and everything as well. Cool stuff. Very nice.
Cool,
so from massive to mini.
No, they're brilliant. They are brilliant.
Yeah.
These are 144 scale, and down below we've got some stuff for scale. And again, very nicely done.
And they always look good in Sea Kings in the Japanese.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I know I'm slightly biased, but anything in Japanese markings, it's pretty good. All of their, like, I was watching, I know a lot of you watch him as well, the Japanese guy who does all the videos of the fighters, the modern stuff, and he did one on all the aggressors the other day, the F-15s, and in their all aggressor squadrons, and they looked absolutely fantastic. Very nice.
Yeah. They do just some cracking schemes, don't they, the Japanese?
And there we go, gives you an idea of the size of them.
Yeah. Sweet modelling, who did it?
Yeah, sweetie modelling, don't they call it? Did you say?
Nathan's built a few, hasn't he? He's always got a few in his staff, to be honest. They're small, to put it mildly. I think he's got a 109 and something else, and they are tiddlers.
Little baby ones.
They are small. Definitely an optivisor needed.
Yeah, I'm in that realm now, it's okay. Nice and done, Steve. Absolutely fantastic. They look very, very nice indeed. Good job on all of that. So yes, very good. Everybody all right in live chat? Yes, I think it's, if you're like me, I've just got to that stage now where of my age, there's nothing wrong with my eyesight, but if I go from close work to, you know, then you look down, I've got that satellite delay. Lag, I think the technical term is now, isn't it? Where it takes a while for your eyes. So I'm now doing that thing again, like, okay, where are we again? And do I need light? It's not light, I need better eyes. But it's saying now, I must admit, I am pretty much, almost, probably, I would say 75% of the time I'm like this now.
God, 70. Oh God, I'm 99% of the time in a minute. Your mind's right.
Permanently.
Yeah.
So yes, sorry, we're on the wrong one there. There we go. But yeah, it's one of those ones again. I fought it for years and years and years not to use the Optivisor, and I don't know why. It was one of those. I was like, I'm not going to do it because I'm not that old and my eyes are fine and all the rest of it. And to say this year, it's that thing where it's just like, you know, I'm struggling a little bit. So you're finding yourself like, you know, really? I don't know actually. And then you pop them on and it is so much easier. And to be honest, I think my modelling's probably improved because it shows everything through that. Whereas before you can sort of go, do you know, I quite like that effect, that's really nice. Then you put your Optivisor on, you're like, oh Jesus, look, there's a split there. Never seen that before.
It's amazing what they show up, actually, the Optivisors. And then the thing is, it works the other way though, because obviously, like, if I'm painting a figure or something, and like you say, oh god, that looks not great, shall we say? You take the Optivisor off and look at it how you would normally, and it's not so bad. Cause,
Yeah.
you know, it works both ways, but for detailing and stuff, they're a must.
Yes. Yeah.
Plus, as well, it just saves you straining your eyes. To be honest, you know.
And do you know what? I often, when I had my eyes tested a lot, beginning of the year, before we had the lockdown and everything, and I went in there and I was, you know what it's like, because you have to queue for hours, don't you? Even though you got an appointment. So I'm looking around the frames, and at this point I've now picked out what frames I'm having. And all the accessories, I've got it sussed. And then he said you don't need glasses. I was so disappointed because I convinced myself I'm going to need glasses because I was doing this, and it was that thing about the change in focal length, your eyes, your elasticity or whatever it is, it's going a little bit, but that's not a reason for it. And like the actual guy did say to me is that if you, with the actual Optivisors I get, he says use it, don't be a martyr, because obviously if you're straining, you're putting more wear on your eyes and you're just going to make it worse. So as he said, for the moment you don't need them, but use your Optivisor, don't be a martyr and not, because otherwise if you don't, you're going to need glasses even quicker, because your eyesight will deteriorate, because obviously with all the close work you're doing. So don't be a martyr about that one, you'll be absolutely fine. Cool. Right, shall we flick over to the questions then?
Yes.
If I can find the area. Where are we? Nope, that's tonight. There we go. Right, okay. In one, WD-40. Shifts tape residue.
Don't be cruel.
I'm only joking, Glenn. If I do it to you twice. I do apologise. I was mortified last week. You should have shouted out. Or I should have read the questions better. Because actually, I didn't see it. And I was like, ah. Anyway, Glenn says, hi team. Guess you know about the 132nd Saab Viggen that's supposed to be making its grand appearance soon. It just went through the roof, and I'm a sucker for the Swedish Saab jets. I've read it's going to be a resin kit, and got very disappointed about the whole thing. What is your take on this? I'm about to buy the JAS Gripen in 148 Italia. Okay, one out of question. So this is the sort of fabled, because it could be really, really nice. A Viggen in 132nd scale is great. Well, not unfortunately, but it's going to be resin, and we do believe 3D printed.
Yeah.
So again, there's nothing to be worried about that, because some of the finest kits out there, like HPH, and I've done a few, and I've got a fantastic one over there that was actually given to me as a gift of a Tiger Cat, which is absolutely amazing, but it's a slightly different approach to it. With resin, I always say it's got just as many good points to its bad points, but you have to have a different mindset when you're attacking it. Okay, the good points are with resin, it's just as easy to use as it is with plastic, and in some ways it's even easier because you can sand it easier and everything else. The downside to it is actually gluing it all together, because normally using CA glue or 2-part resins, and they go rock hard. So if you need to sand it, or if you need to actually get in there and rescribe and re-rivet, you've got those areas to contend with. So it can be a little bit more of a ball ache with it. The other slight downside to it, and again this is one of those through personal experience doing a lot of resin in the past, is that they are prone in long term to actually droop, as I call it, and I can't imagine how wingy things on sci-fi would be any different from wingy things on plane. Over time, if they're sat like this and it doesn't have reinforced metal going through them, they will droop. Now this kit I can't speak for, I haven't seen it. I'm probably never likely to see one either, because they're 500 quid and they're limited to 500, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's one of those, and I do believe they've all gone as well. They've already sold their entire lot. So it's a limited edition kit of it. I just imagine it's probably going to be one of those ones where it'll be fantastic and it'll be beautiful. It'll be interesting to see how many are built. But I don't know. When you're in those bigger scales, it's a bit like me with my Star Destroyer. With that, it's probably the biggest piece of resin I've ever worked on, and I display it as it is now, like a cheese wedge, facing upwards. Because if it's on the stand, I'm worried about it over years of it sagging, because it's already sagged before I built it. So yeah, you have to be a bit of a dedicated to it. And the great thing is as well is that I'm sure it'll be mixed media, so you're going to get, as I said, 3D printed parts. You're probably going to get photo etch and all those stuff. But again, it's not shake and bake. It's a bigger throw into it. And as I say, when you look at solid resin kits, I'll tell you what I'll do next week. I'll do the review of that HPH Tiger Cat, because again, when you see how beautifully they're cast and how fantastic the parts are, it just all looks very, very fragile though. Ever built anything big and resin?
It's a shame to build them, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. They look that nice.
They do. Yeah.
They're like collector's items rather than actually for building some of them, I think, especially like the HPH stuff. And that will be, if it's only 500 units, it seems to be more for the collector than the builder.
Yes.
But as in for big resin, no, my extent for resin is figures and resin heads and a bit of, you know, aftermarket stuff. But no, I mean, you've built the Tucano, didn't you, which was a full resin?
Yeah. Yeah, we got the full resin builds on there, but again, they are a little bit of a, you know, I think you just need a slightly different mindset when you're building with them. You know, it's not like plastic and you can just chuck it together. You know, you do have to be a little bit more careful in there. Sometimes it's very, you know, you want to perhaps put a little bit of reinforcing in it. So like I do with like brass rod and stuff like that, just to make sure it's got a bit more bite to it and a bit more strength.
Where you get that from, John?
That one to tackle at some point.
Planet model. That's still a nice kit, though, isn't it?
It does look a very nice kit.
In the box.
It does look very nice.
Where it'll probably stay.
That's a fuselage on it.
I think the one thing, like you said, you know, with like resin kits, is because that was my kit, and I've obviously offloaded it to John. I think it is the gluing part and the super glue, because obviously super glue deteriorates, it goes brittle, and it's all that bit of it just falling to bits on you one day and just.
Yeah.
I know, like, obviously it's just going to shatter like super glue does, so you can glue it back together. But I don't know, it's that worry in it, or like you say, going down the 2-part epoxy route, aren't you?
Yeah.
So.
You know, again, the thing is, just to clarify, if you're using super glue and you paint over it, it's not a problem, because it's the ultraviolet light that kills super glue. Point in fact, for guys who have followed me long term, you might remember when I was married years ago, I had, and I showed a video on it, which I don't think made it over to YouTube. It's before we were on YouTube. It's when we had our own server, and I had a 1:350 scale. I got a feeling it was, God, it was the New Jersey, I think it was, or something like that, battleship. That was a commission that I did, and he brought it back to me because it needed a clean, because it was in dusty and been left on a shelf. So, you know, we airbrushed it off, and then literally what we could do is go along to the major, you know, structure parts on it and just tap them, and they would come away. And then underneath, because I'd use super glue to tack it all together, and it literally turned to dust. So you could go along literally and wipe them all off, but as he freely admits, he keeps it somewhat not directly in sunlight, but it is in light, in daylight. And I think over time, the ultraviolet light had just done it, because everywhere that had been painted, glued, then painted.
Somebody's home.
Sorry. No, it's not. It's the neighbours. Guys! So yeah, and it obviously affects the actual glue is not affected as long as it's painted, but anywhere where the light could see it, as in it wasn't painted over it, had gone very crumbly. And I had put down all the photo etch railings with super glue, and all of them you could touch it and it just fell over. So
right.
Yes.
Just going back to ships, because I didn't know this, because there's somebody actually me and John follow on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen it, John. Have you seen the 1/200th Yamamoto? That's it's a Nishimo kit from 1969. I didn't even know there was one of a Yamamoto in 1/200th scale. It is massive. It's as you can imagine, 1/200th scale is big anyway, but the Yamamoto are massive. And what he's done is, I didn't know, there's upgrades from Fujimi for the tower and the guns.
All right.
For that kit, it's honestly, it's mind-blowingly massive. But like I say, I'm pretty clued up on kits and old kits and stuff, and I didn't even know there was one. for 1 to 100 scale Yamamoto.
Hold on 1 minute, just here. The guys are having technical difficulties on the system. What's up, gang? I'm just hearing they were getting things about Phil Seb's going to change things. So, some of you got lag and problems, or because technically we shouldn't have any because we're running slightly lower. Matt's always going to be a little bit blurry because that's his internet connection. So, got buffing and freezing. But everyone's saying they're fine here. So it may be local to you because, to be honest with you, I'm just checking on the system and the system is saying excellent and it's saying it's not dropped any frames. We've got 0 drop frames, and so as far as it is from this end, it's absolutely fine and it's flawless and it's perfect. In fact, it's better than ever. I say Matt will always be a little bit fuzzy, but that's his internet connection. Or whether that is, he needs to clean his lens.
I look crystal clear tonight on mine.
Yeah.
I'm a bit out of focus.
Maybe you're a little bit out of focus, that might be it. Because to be honest, we had this. I was on with Matt this afternoon, and when he was in the unit to start with, he was all blurry. So, but I don't know. But say John's crystal clear, but you're looking a little bit slightly hazy tonight. Clean the lens. You probably find it's got a fingerprint on the lens. And wipe it, it'll go crystal clear. But most of you, everyone's saying it's fine here. So
Probably dust.
yeah, clean your lens.
Hold on, I'll get my little cloth out. It could be, you know. As bad as it makes
That's what I'm thinking.
There you go, got my
Well,
pink
the thing is,
cloth
when he used
out.
his overhead, it was crystal clear.
Was it? Could be this cam. This cam gets a lot of ammo, you know.
If he goes crystal clear now, we could say for months he's been looking like 8-bit.
I don't think it is. I think it's internet, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know. That looks better.
yeah, I think it is because Matt's internet connection at the house isn't exactly brilliant. The one at work's fantastic, but that one's always a little bit ropey. Because he's
It's
down
up-
in the
it's
shed at the
missing
bottom of
it.
the garden.
It's hit and miss, isn't it? Who's ever on in the house, I think. And it's like Lydia's bedtime, so she'll be on her phone.
Yeah,
Leslie will be on her phone, and obviously I'm in here, so it drains the system. Because I'm furthest away from the router.
yeah. It may be the other thing, guys, if you are watching, try and lower your watch rate. So on YouTube, on the little thing, instead of being, I think we're at 1080 tonight, just lower it down to 720. It won't make any difference for what we do here. So
Put it down to 40.
yeah, go 360 would be fine. It would be like back in being in 19 when we first started in
10 years ago.
2002.
Yeah.
So yes, good stuff. Right, we were talking about Yamatos. Matt and John, are you following the Yamato Phil build the New Jersey? I've built loads of them. Did lots. I did all the Tamiya ones, and I did a couple of the Academy ones because Academy do a few in that scale as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, John really could have built a tow pits, couldn't he?
he could
I
have
could
done
have-
really.
I-
He's offloaded it.
If he had a bit of commitment around him, he could have built that.
Yeah, I'd even lent him me PE benders. 'Cause You'll
What, that
need
100
it.
quid one? Hey, we could have got that 100 quid photo.
What, this one that you can now buy from Hannants with a Meng label on it for £100?
That's the one.
That's the one. Just to, talk about this, but unbelievably, because Matt said to me, is it the same? It was like, it is exactly the same. So if you buy the display one, it's about 60 quid. But if you buy it now, it's got Meng written on it and they want 100 quid for it.
Yeah.
See, that's the only trouble. When these big companies absorb smaller companies, they can charge what they like, and that's what they're doing. So it's the same with the Infini cutting mats, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
No.
Which, saying that, I'll be back in stock next week.
Right, anyway, so getting back on track though, so yeah, again, it's one of those things. I think if you're into resin kits, I know lots of people who build the HPH stuff, and it's a bit of a commitment, but they look amazing when they're done.
Yeah.
I did toy with the idea of doing the 30-second Catalina for a while,
You
and then I
did. I
bottled
was
it.
about to say that the Catalina you was hanging your nose over that, weren't
I
you, for
was.
a couple of years when we were at Telford.
Yeah,
They've done some brilliant stuff. I mean, I've had the IL28.
yeah.
I bought that, and it's gone now. But I mean, it looks fantastic in the actual box and what you get with it. But have you got an HPH kit, John? You haven't, have you? You were going to get the Big 15, weren't you?
Yeah, 30-second MiG 15, yeah. But again, I've bottled it.
Bottled it. It is. It's a full-on commitment, I think, to do one. So and I think you've got to be in the right frame of mind to tackle it. Because I know Andy's got the Helldiver, hasn't he?
Yeah.
As well, he's got the Curtis Helldiver.
Yes. Let's stick our nose in a quick overhead whilst we talk.
Probably coming to an auction near you soon.
Right, hold on, let me stick that one out of the way. So, yes, hold on, have we not got a Y cam today? Which is the Y one? There we go. So when you get your little thing of beauty, they look like this. So as you can see, we've got lots of metal to hold it together. We've got big sheets of photo etch in here. But yeah, when you get down into this, as you see, it's one of those where you're like, okay. So it's a big old lump, this thing.
The casting's pretty flawless on them, and even if it isn't, you get in touch with them and they'll send you the actual replacement for that with no problem. A really good customer service.
Yeah. So again, it's one of these things. They're a nightmare because once you take it out of the box, you'll never get it back in. They don't fit. But you can probably, if you see it, you'll see it on the review. But the detail on these are absolutely stunning. You know, any detail that you've ever seen in plastic, you know, is just as good in these. So, but yeah, they are absolutely amazing. Beautifully done and all the rest of it, but yeah, boy, it is a commitment. If you're thinking about building it, it's one of those where you're going to be doing it for many months, because it's not something where you're going to be throwing these together.
The thing is, when you do see them built, they do look top notch.
Many a time you go to a show and you'll see a kit and they just stand out because they're very nicely done. So yes.
What's their gigant? Is that 32nd or 48? 32nd, isn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember now what they said it was. So
because they did that in a B 36, isn't it? The Peacemaker in 48.
Yeah.
That's just massive.
And the B-52 as well, isn't it?
B-52, yeah. There's just some big lumps because they mainly do museum pieces anyway, don't they? So this is just an offshoot, I think, of I don't know, probably a way to make money and whatever, but I think they mainly like the museum commissions.
Yeah.
Of bigger stuff. So I presume resin's easier to work with in that case, is it? Than whittling it out of wood.
So just going back on track here. So tonight we've got obviously Gremlins on the site and all the rest of it. So you can watch us as a playback, and it'll come back because it gets recorded in HD and then gets put up again. So it's a different version of what you're seeing now. So if you are having troubles, just watch us back tomorrow and we'll be gorgeous and fine and everything else. But some of you seem to be fine and other people don't. So it's obviously localised problems, but obviously it's not us, thank God. So good. So yes.
Hey, is it near 10 o'clock then? Is pub's back shut?
Yes, is it? Mind you, down in this part of the world, like 10 o'clock, everyone's gone home anyway. It's like past bedtime. Get these clubs that open till 4 in the morning. Like, wow. Anyway, the other part of the question was about the Gripen in 48 scale, Kitty Hawk or Italeri. To be honest, it pains me to say it, but you're going to go Kitty Hawk because the Italeri one is, well, yeah, it's. Is it?
You've got one, John.
Yes.
Kitty Hawk, yeah.
Yeah.
Show it is. Get it out.
Did you have the 2-seater or the single?
2-seater somewhere.
So yeah, so it does pain me to say it, but honestly, Kitty Hawk, the detail, and also the thing is, you have to imagine when Italeri did them, they also did the Typhoon at the same time, and they are nothing like the jets as today, because what they based those models on was the prototypes.
Can I interrupt you?
Go on.
Sorry. Look at the back of his t-shirt.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. The
Good job we got some.
Hey.
I need a new one.
Do you know what? I've got a new one on because mine did it as well. We have got more merch hopefully coming in the autumn, which I know is now, but it should be in the next month or two.
Merch. Hey, look at that.
Very nice. Go on, John, build it. We all need to see you build it.
Go look at it.
There's some nice schemes in there, actually.
You could do it as a Brazilian.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice scheme.
Or as they call it, a Hitler.
I think it's typical Kitty Hawk. It's fine if you build it with everything opened up, but
it's fine if you leave it in the box.
Yeah, it's fine until you build it. So I would say Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, Kitty Hawk, I'd
But
say.
just
Kitty
take
Hawk.
your time with it. Absolutely, you'll be fine. No problem anyway. WD-40 shifts tape residue.
It does.
It does, and also the thing is, you can just use enamel thinners as well. Let it soak in and then give it a rub as well, and it'll come away. But
Yeah.
as you say, just be careful when you're squirting your WD-40 because you'll never get paint stick near it again. Chris says, in answer to one of my many questions a few weeks ago on Mr. Paint, Mr. Paint and MRP Paint, you misunderstood. I misunderstood your answer when I thought that you said they were produced by totally different companies. After a lot of research, I have a definitive answer that Mr. Paint, acrylic lacquer paints in Slovakia, are released for sale in the EU. They are also relabeled them by MRP, also for the EU and the US market. MRP advised Mr. Paint have caused any problems. Sorry. Oh, right. Okay. So what we're talking about is the old labelling when they were called Mr. Paint and then changed to MRP. I thought we actually showed them because didn't I get them out?
Yeah, I thought you did because you've got an old one and a new one.
Because I thought I did get the old one and the new one and showed them as being the same, wasn't it? Because one of them's done as Mr. Paint and then the other ones are all the modern ones are MRP, but I think they've even changed it again since then.
Call it Mr. P.
Mr. P, yes. Because it was known as, I think we sort of went with MRP because the trouble if you go with like Mr. Paint and then it gets like, you know, to like gun stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
It gets muddled.
if you start putting misters in front of things, so that's why we went with MRP as in MRP paints.
Yeah.
So why don't we just keep it simple? MRP is MRP.
But it's just, well, same paint, isn't it? Same company.
It is the same company, yeah, absolutely. I think though I always just thought they just changed their labels generically for everything because I say I've got some of their very early stuff, and then obviously from now on. So okay. Michael says, hi team, two things. Firstly, a couple of weeks ago, Nathan recommended splashing out on a JLC mini mitre block. He did. Blame him. A great piece of kit, thanks. Okay. Secondly, I'm building a model of the Apollo 7 spacecraft on orbit next to the, oh my god, what's that? Is that an S6, S4B? That's it, S4B upper stage. Got ya. The inside petals of this rocket of the stage have some rust-coloured fillets. It's a bit of a small picture to try and see that. Between the metal skin. Oh my god, can anyone see that?
No.
I need a bigger monitor. Where's my Optivisor? Hold on. Right, okay. Yep. And there's panels. I'm planning on modelling and using a scribing tool for these lines. Also trying to recreate as a resin 144 beyond my leaven skills. I plan on being recreate the fillets using a panel wash. What would you recommend? Again, looking at the picture, which is very difficult. Need it on my phone. I'll make it bigger then. But yeah, they do look that sort of red rusty colour. So I don't know if that's like a primer type paint that they had in them or something else like that.
I can't, to be honest, I can't see the things, so I can't really make it. I'll have to have a look on a better picture and
clear photo, is it?
Yeah. Are they recessed or are they raised? Because it looks like the sort of bits that the petals rivet to. I'm wondering if that's like framework the way it looks. It's probably not because he obviously knows what he's talking about and I clearly don't. So I don't know if they're recessed or raised. If it is raised, you could make them in very thin plastic card, paint them, and then stick them all when they're in position.
If he puts the picture up to a bit of a bigger resolution, we might be able to tell.
So yeah, but as for the colour, don't know. As you say, it looks like that sort of red oxide colour. So you could probably get away with. Well, I don't know. The rust might be too light, but you say if you wanted to use like washes and stuff to recreate it, then I would say rust with probably dark dirt mixed into it just to darken it down and go for that. But yes, don't know. John, you're the expert. You were there, weren't you, then, when they were flying around? Bit before my time.
Probably, if it is raised, you could probably use a very fine stretch sprue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is sort of difficult because part of it's in shadow. It's difficult to tell exactly.
Yeah.
There's a definite reddish tinge to it.
Yeah, it's a reddy brown, isn't it?
Yeah.
So either that or a good colour for that would be like a whole red, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a reflection from the sun, is it?
Swamp
Or
gas.
Mars. Hey, it's a reflection from Mars.
Yeah, swamp gas. Yeah, difficult to say. I think we need some more bigger pickies and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Phil says, hi team, one for John. There you go, John. You mentioned 4 weeks ago about the no end of problems that you've had with Vallejo paints. Could you elaborate on this? I've just bought some Model Air and wanting to avoid any issues with this product. Go on then, John.
Just true acrylics full stop.
Go on, John. Tell them what you're really
Go on,
going
John.
to say.
Don't hold back.
Put them in the bin.
Go
That's
on.
what you
Put them in the bin.
It is a little unfair.
It's just all the normal problems. You get tip dry with them. They spit. They splutter. They're not. Whereas with lacquers, you just know what you're going to get every time you pull that.
It's consistency, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
it is. It's consistency.
It's
Well,
a
I
consistency.
think, again, it's that thing that, you know, I have to be honest here. I used Vallejo Model Air for like 10 years before I saw the light, clearly. But again, it's one of those where once you've properly mixed the paint, to avoid pitfalls here, I'll talk you through them. Make sure you shake the hell out of that and put an agitator into it. So I use M4 Nuts Marine Grade, okay, so they don't rust or anything or go funny. And then I put them in. So when you shake them up, it rattles around and all the rest of it in there. That will properly get up the pigment from the bottom and makes you a nicer, richer paint that lays down more smoothly. Okay, that's one issue. A drop of retarder won't hurt. Okay, so there's loads of different ones on the market, but that will slow down. We were talking about tip dry, where it dries, because being acrylics, they tend to dry and then they get a bit stoppy-starty. It should make your painting a lot more smoother, okay? And the other thing as well, don't be frightened to thin it a little bit. For years, I never thinned it. I just used to squirt it straight out of the bottle because it's pre-thinned. But actually, a little bit of thinners just helps it flow quite nicely. And again, acrylic airbrush cleaner, Vallejo's own, works really, really well because that's got retarder in it as well. So it just makes it flow, slows down the drying time and gives you a nice experience. If you go back to the airbrushing live series that I did a few years ago now, that is all with Vallejo Model Air because it was simple to use and I was trying to demo with it. And we talk about a lot of those issues in there, the problems of having it. Now, admittedly, the last sort of 3 years, I've moved completely off of acrylics and now down the lacquer route. So, you know, that's the thing. It's one of those ones where I've jumped and then I'm seeing all the benefits of using lacquer, as in no tip dry, no problems with it. It doesn't really matter how you mix it. It tends to work. A lot lower air pressure. You're a lot closer to the models, things like that now. Whereas I used to spray completely high air pressure, a long way away and stuff. So it's surprising how you change over with these things, you know, and then you get the sort of in-betweeny ones like Tamiya and stuff like that. But yeah.
I mean, just going, if he like don't want to use the lacquer route and he's going to stick and I'm going to use Model A, my advice would be stick with it and learn that paint system. The flaw, the pitfalls with it and the pros with it, and you will learn how to use it. If you keep chopping and changing to different manufacturers of paint, that's where you can become unstuck because you know it's again you've got to learn how to use that brand of paint compared to the one you were using, and you know, and especially if you're less experienced, shall we say, with airbrushing and that sort of scenario, or with paint in general. So I mean, Model Air will work, won't it? You did use it, and like you say, a bit of retarder, a bit of your own thinner in it. Any paint, I don't care if it's acrylic or lacquers or whatever, a good stir, shake, make sure it's thoroughly mixed before you even put it near an airbrush. Yeah. And then you're eliminating certain problems before you've got it in the colour cup. So, you know,
It's just personal
think
preference as well at the end of the day.
Of course it is.
I couldn't be bothered with all the flapping with it, and like you say, the inconsistency with it. And as soon as I tried lacquers, it was just like, wow.
I think that's it. I think obviously we've been over this a few times with like how long you get to actually do your hobby. And you don't want to spend an hour and a half faffing around trying to get it to work through your airbrush if you've only got a couple of hours a night to actually work on something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to really just get in there and pull the trigger and it'll be pretty smooth and flawless. Do you know what I mean? Or, like I was just saying, unless you know the system and what works for you to get that paint to work without all the problems. And that's the advice I will give really on it, especially with painting. So yeah.
It is. I think again we're into that thing where, as model builders, we're always building models, and sometimes what you actually need to do is to say, I'm going to have a play with something to learn it properly instead of using it on your model. Because the thing is, as soon as you commit to putting paint on your model, you're acutely aware of all that time you've invested into it, and perhaps you know a little bit worried, so you're always going to play safe. But sometimes you need to expand it a little bit more. So either have a buster and just have a play for an evening and play with it at different air pressures, you know, different mixtures and different, you know, distances away, just to find out what works for you. Because also, like we said, a lot of the time, a lot of people harp on about, you know, mixture settings, air pressure settings and everything else. And like I always say, every airbrush is different, every environment is different. So just, it's finding what works for you. And again, different colour paints work differently as well. Sometimes I've had it where grey paints spray fantastically. I've gone to use another colour and it's been thicker. So you've got to adjust all your systems, but it's knowing what is right. And when you pull that trigger straight off the bat, from the minute you pull the trigger and you hear your airbrush running, you can tell how it's going to go. You know, I could almost do it blindfolded and I'll tell you what's wrong with it, because you say you listen to your airbrush and it will tell you everything you need to go. You've got that thing, if it's wheezing, if it's physically struggling, your paint's too thick. Okay, so you know that's the thing, you can need to thin your paint a little bit more. If you thin your paint, you can lessen your actual air pressure. If you lessen your air pressure, you can move closer to your model, which means you're not spraying it everywhere. So if you're too far away, you're just spraying it in the environment. Hardly any's actually going on your model. So again, something I've learned is to be very, very close to your model. You know, physically watching that paint go down to give a nice smooth finish instead of just winging it and covering it, you know. Because doing it when you're like this, it's just going everywhere and you end up with a rough texture and various things. And also because you're spraying a higher air pressure, you're blowing more material over the actual needle. You've got more chance of tip dry. There again, if you're like lesser pressures and you're closer, it's actually flowing very nicely, very wet if you like, over the needle. It always keep it lubricated and it stops it clogging on the needle. And then all that's going to happen is at some point it stops where it's just blocked up. So then you pull the trigger back a little bit more, that scrapes the drying gloopy stuff off your needle and then spits it, and then all of a sudden it's and you've now just plastered something. So it's that knowledge of exactly what is going on. So when you're spraying, especially with acrylics, and it begins to slow, don't just keep pulling on the trigger and pushing hard down. It means it's building up. So you've got literally a time bomb on your hand. At some point, something's going to have to give. It's either going to stop or it's going to spit. You know, and it's that thing, you come off to one side, blow through your airbrush, pull the trigger back, set it up, feels good, sounds good, everything's going again, you go back and doing it. Always used to have my little patch next to me and like blow a bit out, go for a few minutes, blow it out, go for a few minutes. It's a great thing with lacquers. I don't think I've ever done that in years now because it's flowing.
I was good. That's the thing. I think with the lacquers it's a lot more forgiving with air pressure, even with distance, with thinning ratios, because you can thin it to within an inch of its life and it will spray. It won't cover, but it won't separate. It will work. Where acrylics, you've got to have you've got a small sweet spot of it working properly, haven't you?
Yes.
Like I say, if you over thin it, it just separates. It will run. It will just be a mess. If it's over thick, you can't get through your airbrush. You'll have tip dry. It'll just be, you know, it's that Goldilocks effect in the middle.
There is a little zone.
And then there is a zone, and acrylics will work absolutely bang on perfect. But you've got to know that zone that it works in. Obviously, like we're saying, especially with the alcohol-based lacquer acrylics, whatever you want to call them. Again, you can spray them straight out the pot, really. If you know, and they will work. They won't be brilliant. You'll get a pebble dashed effect, but you can thin them, like say, probably 90% thinner, and they'll still work and they won't separate because it's the medium of the thinner that's and the binder and everything that's keeping it all together. So I think that's why we all champion lacquer paints, because they are a lot more forgiving and easier to use.
It's brilliant that we've got such a massive range of paints nowadays compared to what it was probably like even sort of 20, 30 years ago. But the downside is there's so much out there.
Yeah, I was
you
about to say,
keep swapping and changing what you're using.
Yeah.
You're not getting used to one thing.
Yeah, I think it's, and also you get, you know, like people like me, and obviously with Matt, the guys don't help because we'll tell you and harp on about the benefits of lacquers and how wonderful they are. But again, they're not for everybody. You know, I fully appreciate they do smell a little bit more than normal. I think you go nose blind after a while anyway, you don't notice. But definitely it's one of those ones where, you know, lacquer paints are a little bit more whiffy, you know, but I think from a, you know, a positive and negative point of view, there's so much more better with lacquers than it is with acrylics, because all of the little stumbling blocks and all the little problems I had with acrylics I don't get with lacquers at all. So again, it's one of those things where if you were new to the hobby and you didn't know any different, I would always recommend going straight to lacquers, because I can't see any pluses to an acrylic.
No.
But, you know, to learning especially, because all those little fall boils we were saying in that sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone, about using acrylics, it's one of those things where a lot of us have been doing it for so long now, we know what we're doing, and anybody can hand us any paint, we'll go for it. But if you're new and you haven't got a clue, it's a massive climbing, you know, steep learning curve to overcome. So if you've got something like you're using just lacquers, you know, and you thin them, it's got a very wide zone of use that you can get away with and all the rest of it. And apart from the smell, and again, theoretically, the smell isn't an issue because you should be wearing a respirator, you should have an extractor no matter what you're spraying, you know, then it doesn't really make any difference. It's just that in late 90s especially, there was lots of things going on about lacquers were going to be banned because it kills the fish in the rivers. And I think then there was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction in the hobby, and the acrylics suddenly was everywhere, because before that it was enamels. Everybody sprayed enamels, you know.
That stinks.
But yeah, and that proper does stink. Yeah, that's it. And a lot of people are like, oh no, you know, obviously we need to go to acrylic and it's all going to be water-based. And obviously Matt's automotive history as well. So, and obviously in that case as well, that, you know, Sally Thinners was going to get banned and it was all going to have to be water-based and stuff. But the reality is it never happened. So again, it was one of those. All right, it is out there, but it's not banned material. It's not like an evil thing like it was. Again, it's that thing about if you're taking care of what you're using, and for the environmental point of view, it's not so bad. But
I mean, again, though, the air pressure comes in massively when you're painting, because of if your air pressure is low and you're using 10 psi, like you've said, you're not having it airborne everywhere. It's going on where you want to put it, because you are, you are on top of that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're there.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're painting and you've got low pressure, you're painting. There's very little getting airborne. If you're back here and at 20 psi, you're hitting that and it's going. And it's the same with any spraying, whatever you're doing, whether it's a car, a model, or whatever. It's the same scenario. So the closer and the lower air pressure, and that's what I'm saying with the lacquers, you've got to learn the airbrush, and you don't want to be faffing trying to get your acrylics to work if you don't really know how to use the tool. You know what I mean? You want to sort of master the tool, and then you can go, right, I'm quite comfortable, I'm confident with using an airbrush, I will try acrylics, or whichever medium, enamels, wherever you want to go. Again, it's just a confidence thing as well, and knowing what you can get away with and what you can't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with any job you do, never mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, you always want to play safe, because again, you know what you're doing, all the rest of it. But sometimes, again, learning your tool, your product, whatever you're doing, and understanding it goes a long, long way. It's very well just putting it down, but understanding it properly, I think that's a good lesson to be had, especially when it's something as important as painting your model, because that's 50% of everything you're doing, you know.
But I mean, we always say that for a starter paint, you can't go wrong with Tamiya range.
No, absolutely.
Even if you go with X20A, the alcohol sort of route of thinning them, it will still work and they won't clog and they will be absolutely pretty flawless, won't they? To be fair.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say, like, the Tamiya, the Aqueous range is a really good starter range of paints because it's pretty flawless. It's nice and easy to learn to use. It works. It dries rock hard. It's durable. It's everything you want. You're just a bit limited, obviously, on colours if you're an aircraft builder. But at the end of the day, like I say, you can always get to the Aqueous range, and then you can progress from there. You can start using the Attackers or the MRPs or wherever you want to go, really.
I think the trouble that you've got now is situation with paint is that, as we said before, there's no such thing apart from life colour, which is a true acrylic. You know,
I think that and blue top
attacker are like proper true acrylics. The rest of them, like, it doesn't matter technically if it's Tamiya, if it's guns, or if it's real colour or whatever it is. They're a synthetic hybrid because they're actually alcohol based.
Yeah.
So they're technically an acrylic, but they're probably more of a lacquer in a lot of ways, you know.
But even them aren't a pure acrylic, are they?
No.
Really?
No.
You know, the Vallejo stuff, because they like the latex base.
Yes.
They've got stuff in them as a stabilizer and to obviously make them durable. I think what the problem is with, like, well, I've never read, but life colour and stuff, I think they think they're a bit sort of flaky.
Yeah.
A bit soft.
Yeah.
But I think when paint's dry, the pigment's dry, it's pretty hard stuff, to be honest. It's pretty. I've never wore through it when I've ever used it. But the only thing I find with acrylics, obviously, the downside to acrylics over lacquers, especially if you're an aircraft builder, is if you're doing tight camo, if you're doing mottling, more complicated stuff. If you're building a tank or an armoured vehicle, acrylics are a pretty safe way to go. All right, you know. They do work unless you're getting really, really complex camo schemes. But I think when you're doing more freehand stuff like what would have been in the field on aircraft, that's where lacquers, I think, is their Achilles heel. Because you just can't get them fine enough, to me, that they look convincing. Where with the lacquers, you can thin them down, you lower your pressure, you're in close, and you can get fantastic results. So,
it is. It's one of those things that, as I say, you just make a decision on what you're going to do. Like I always say, though, in some ways it doesn't hurt to try a few little things. Like I've always said, never go out and buy a paint range. Just buy a couple of colours that you need for your particular model you're going to be working on and have a go with them. See how you get on with them. See how they work for you. And that's the whole point. Don't be driven by what me use or Matt uses or John or Andy or any of the others, Nathan, anything. Be driven what works for you. So what's good for your environment, what's good for your budget almost, and all those things should be those factors into it. But have a play with them and just see what comes out. Because again, you've got that thing, aircraft. You know, there's certain manufacturers who do aircraft colours very well, but they don't do particular armour, or they don't do, you know, civil stuff and that. So you're always going to get a little bit of a crossover, and that's why I still to this day do not have a completed paint set. Nowhere near it. I've got a sort of mix of Tamiya, and some of those are very, very old, you know. And as I say, LP range, I've got bits and pieces, and I've got bits and pieces down there of AK real colours, and I've got some MRPs, as you know. I've got guns over there and all the rest of it. The only one I did give up, which we sold, was my Model Air lot, because I had a lot of that, but even that I didn't have all of them, you know, because again, I just tend to cherry pick what colours I use a lot. That's what I tend to use. And then again, like now, as I say, I've got very much into the lacquers. I like the attackers, I like the real colours, the Tamiya stuff is absolutely fantastic. But again, like Matt was saying, Tamiya is almost that guaranteed result. You know you're good with Tamiya. It's straightforward. The Goldilocks zone is a mile wide. You know, you can spray it pretty much neat to being like water and it will still work. I don't know how they do it, but it's good stuff. You know, that's the thing with it. But again, everybody has their own particular thing. We said before, there's so many different variables out there. And that's when I always say to people, airbrushes, it's the same thing. Don't just use an airbrush because we say so and we love it. Have a go with them. Try them. Feel what's right for you. Because again, you might be going along and then one day use an airbrush and it just works for you. You know, and that's the whole point. It's what you feel comfortable with.
It is. And I mean, there's a big sort of variety now. So you can sort of pick and choose, like you say, buy a few paints from one manufacturer and another and see what you like.
See what you get on with.
Acrylics, because I don't like them and I don't really get on with them for certain jobs, doesn't mean somebody else can't come and produce the most fantastic work ever.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, it is what it is. It's what you're used to. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to pick a paint system, try and stick with it as much as you can to learn it, and you'll know all the pitfalls, the pros, the cons, and you'll just adapt to it and get around it, and then it will be easy to use.
I had a friend of mine, point of fact to this is going back a long time ago now, and he had a car, and then one day it turned up and we all thought it had a respray, and it looked absolutely mint, and it turned out he used marine grade paint and a roller.
Yeah.
And I tell you, you'd never know. And it was like, seriously? And he's like, yep, stuff it, rubbed it all down, did it all, and he said literally it was like a radiator roller as well, and he was like, and it absolutely was mint. And it was like, how? How the hell did you manage that? Because it came out mint. And it's a good example of like, never judge a book, because again, it's one of those things. It's what works, and it was good stuff on the day and all the rest of it. But it turned out absolutely mint, And again, it's just one of those things. You're like, brilliant, love it. Anyway, moving on. Ross says, hiya team. Hope you're all well. There's newer restrictions. Yeah, no change for me. I really just had one thing to ask. I tried Mr. Colour 400 thinners. That's just the size of the bottle, I take it. With AK Air series of paints for my Sequoia SU15TM build. Nightmare. Went to Gloop in the colour cup. Yeah, well, you've learned that lesson. Clean up was for ages. Had to strip every single part. I know I should have done it in a shot glass. I usually do, but hey, question is, what did he do wrong, basically?
Well, he put a lacquer thinner in an acrylic paint, because they are proper acrylics.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably thin it if you kept thinning it.
If you kept thinning it, it will go.
Until you broke it, but yeah, basically what you've done is thinned it with lacquer thinners in acrylic paint, and that's what it does.
Yeah, honestly.
As we was playing when we were down, earlier on in this year, God, that seems like...
Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago.
When it was, but you can actually get away with it, and some do not like it at all. They will just turn to glue, and I think that was one of them. Because I know that stuff there, thins beautiful, but leveling thinner, isn't it?
Yeah, leveling thinner is the
with
thing.
400, because that's the normal Mr. Colour thinner, the dark blue one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that one.
That's that one. That one will not work. It's a leveling thinner, so if it's a retarder in it or something they've put in it that will work with certain, and I will say this, acrylic paints.
Yes.
You've got to try it for yourself.
It is. Obviously, you have to try it yourself at home. But for some reason, there's something that's different with leveling thinners that works better with acrylics, because we found that. And we use polyurethane paint. It works with polyurethane paint, but normal one doesn't. And it's like...
It won't work with life colour, and it will not work with blue top attacker. It will just turn it to glue. And I don't think it worked with...
extra acrylics, it will turn to glue.
Because again, that's proper pure acrylic as well, isn't it? To what we were just on about.
Yeah.
But the hybrid ones, it works with all the latex, I think. It just, there's something in it.
The odd thing is, if it's got a fire symbol on it, it'll work, because they're alcohol based, so that it will thin that. But unfortunately, to be honest, Ross, we've all done it. I've done it. You put it in, and suddenly you end up with bubble gum in your colour cup. And you're like, God. Try and peel this out now. Strip your airbrush. Trying to get it out the nozzle and all the rest of it. So yes. Okay.
I mean, it's not. Hey, just going back. Sorry, again going back to sort of the beginners coming into airbrushing. It's good practice to use the thinners that is made for that brand of... I know, because we are mix and match. I'm terrible for mixing and matching and stuff, but I'm quite confident and know what I can get away with and what works and what don't. But again, if you're starting out, and I was told this when I started playing cards, just use the brand of thinners that goes with that paint.
Yes.
And then it works. You've cut that sort of problem out of it with mixing and chopping and changing with thinners and materials. So yeah.
Good advice, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, Graham says, you've often mentioned about using Rebel Contactia glue. What size would you like, sir? I've got all the sizes here. In my local shop, there is no Revel glues or paints available. I was wondering if the new Humbrol Precision Poly will be a similar product.
I think it is.
I think it's the same, isn't it?
I think it's the same, to be honest. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, they are just poly ones. So, yeah. I think, I'm not 100% because I must admit I haven't tried if it's a new Humbrol Poly Precision, but...
I think I've actually got a smaller one of these that came with something. It must have been like a starter pack or whatever, and it is
Yeah.
the humble one. And I'm pretty sure it's the because otherwise, if it was all glue, it wouldn't go through the needle, would it? It's got to be
Yeah.
liquid.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd say it'd be you can't. But to be fair, Umbro glue was pretty good. Not the glue, the proper stringy, styrene, old school stuff, but the other glues and stuff are fine.
Well, I know no one even mentioned it, but I did do a very small show on Tuesday, which I'm not going to go on about. But on there, I did demo about lots of things, including airbrushing and nozzles and spitting, as well as cutting things. And also we spoke about glues on that show as well. Not that anybody apparently watched it, but there you go.
There's a hint, everybody. Go
There's
watch
a hint. Not that I'm upset about it, but nobody even mentioned it. And I put a lot of work into that show. I spent a day of my life doing that. Anyway, Trevor says, I'm just wondering if you guys ever get vibrations. You were, John.
Don't know what this is.
John, this is directed at you. With your paint mask filters.
Hey.
I use the same kind that Phil uses. Every now and then I get a buzzing and feel vibration in the mask. What? This type of mask?
A proper cartridge mask.
I must admit, I've never had a vibration.
You have to breathe a little bit less heavy.
See, I can't make it doing it. Or you can, obviously, the rubbery bits. The only thing is, make sure your rubber bits on the inside are okay.
I've never had it.
I've never had it, I must admit.
I wore one of them for years and can't think of ever vibrated.
See, the only thing you can hear clicking is the rubber bit. The diaphragm, just flicking. But
it could be that. It could be the flicking.
Change your filters, people. It should be this colour, not that colour.
Let's have a look at your mask, John. So look at your filters.
Yeah, show us filters,
Over
John.
there.
Oh, is it? That old chestnut.
Come on, John, show us your
Look, show us your
filters.
I changed my filters. I was good.
Yeah, the ditch. Yeah.
We changed everything out the other day. I was a good boy.
Mine are brand new, actually. The mask is hammered, but the filters are clean.
Filters are all good. So no, honestly, Trevor, I've never had that problem, and I've had that one for donkey's years, and I had one very similar like it before that, and it never did anything, and it was a 3M one.
The thing is, the only thing it can be is the diaphragm, because there's no other moving parts.
No.
So what can vibrate unless...
Yeah, I would check that. Check obviously if it's an older one, those diaphragms, because that's why I changed out mine, because the diaphragm weren't proper hard. So it wasn't working, because when you blew at it, you could just blow through it almost. So I would check the diaphragm, and on that one you have three. You've got one on the very front, which is the exhale one, and the two inhale ones. Check that they're okay and they haven't gone hard or crispy or lost the rubberness, the flexibility.
They have got a shelf life, so it might be an idea to buy a new mask unless it is a new mask. I don't know how old it is because you've not said, but don't last forever, obviously.
No, that's it, yes. Okay, Simon says, hi guys, I have a yearning to build an F-35 and do it in the Fleet Air Arm markings. My preferred scale is 1/48th. We know we were going with this one then. And it appears that Kitty Hawk. Kitty Hawk. I don't know why, but the A, obviously, there's lots of versions out there now, but the B is still Kitty Hawk. Based on your review of the F-35C, there's a B review round somewhere as well, because I did the B and the A. I reviewed all three of them, but I think that was on when I used to do the Friday show, so it would have been part of a Friday show. Led me to believe that there is not the best kits and has several fit issues. Because of this, I'm actually considering the Italeri or Hasegawa 1/72nd. The Hasegawa is truly tempting prospect. As I said, I've done the Hasegawa one, the video build on it. Beautiful kit. One of the most fun kit builds I've done in a long time. They were absolutely fantastic kits. Very tempting prospect because of a full set of RAM decals. Before I take the plunge, and either way, the kit will not be bad. Recommended out of the three kits. Okay, so literally, the 48 scale one has got massive fit issues, but if you're going to have it all open, so if you're going to have the nozzle down and everything open on this thing, and perhaps have the weapon bays open and stuff like that, it's not a problem. It's only a problem if you close it all up because none of the doors fit. There is other issues as well, as we all know, with the instructions, But again, if you look through the instructions, you will see that some of the numbers are wrong. So it'll say like part 35 and there is no part 35 and things like that. But apart from that, everybody else I know who's done it has done quite a nice job on it. But it's when people try and close it up and button it up, it doesn't, well, there's like 1 mil gaps around things. So again, you have to either bite the bullet and fill it or just do it. But if you just, you know what you're getting into, you know it's going to be a handful. But if you're happy to go with that, it's probably quite a nice kit. So, but out of that, really, your other option, 72nd, I'll go Hasegawa all the way.
Hold on a minute. We've
Or
got a new
Italian.
kid on the block.
I know.
The Academy one, haven't we?
Yeah. And the
So,
Academy
even
one.
the Italeri one's not bad, though.
Yeah, that's it. We've got the Italian one. But have they done a B?
Yeah, because they've got
The Academy's
RAF.
the A, wouldn't it?
The what, sorry?
I thought the Academy was an A.
No, they've bought a B out, haven't they?
Oh, right,
It's
okay.
brand new. It's a new tooled one.
Oh. I was going to say, because the ones we did as part of the review.
Yeah, it's literally just come out.
Oh,
So
right. Fair enough.
we ain't got it yet. But we've had the A,
Yes, because we've done the A. I've got the A
Yeah.
there.
and you've done both the Italeri one and the Hasegawa ones.
Yes.
And like I say, Academy's bought a B out now because we were on about the other day. He sent second, so it'd be nice to try and get hold of one and see how that stacks up against the other two. There
Yes.
you go. But I do know, like I said, the Italy one does come with I think it's the RAF markings, isn't it? It's got.
Yeah. 617 Squadron 1, isn't it?
Yeah. So.
Yes. Very
Still
nice
think
it
we've
was
got
too.
one of them in the store, I think.
Very nice. I like that. I must admit, thoroughly enjoyed that kit. It was like building Bandai.
Yeah.
It was a nice one, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, did enjoy that one.
So, yeah, it's still a weird though. How there's only one option in 48, isn't there?
I know, yeah. You know what it'll be. Suddenly they'll be everywhere. Especially now they're getting quite popular because, as I say, they're coming online now fully. So
Yeah.
at some point, everybody suddenly they'll be everywhere.
Could be because of Lockheed Martin in it, who make
Well,
them.
yeah, probably.
Licensing, all that sort of scenario again, wanting the cup. Don't know.
And again, if you're talking about relatively, because he says here, my modelling time is relatively limited.
Yeah.
And for honestly, do the Hasegawa one. It's a really nice kit, goes together. So I can't comment. It looks, I haven't built it though, the Academy one or the Italeri one, although we have reviewed all three. So you can have a look at those. But again, they're A models of it. So for a B, I think the Hasegawa one's very, very nice. Goes together nice. It's got good detail as well. And I think the RAM is about right for the height of it, things like that.
Ooh.
Guys, it's not. Sorry, the other half's working till 11 o'clock tonight, so let's just go home early. Anyway, P.S. I've been a member for the site for about a year. One of the best decisions I've made all year. Keep up the fab work. Thank you very much there, Simon. We will. Right, Graham's got a couple of questions. On the Edard Tempest, what would be the width of the black and white invasion stripes?
10 mil.
10 mil Tamiya tape. It's not. It's 9 point whatever it is mil, but 10 mil's
mil.
close enough.
Just 10 mil.
Honestly, seriously, it's not that far out. And everything I do, I use 10 mil Tamiya tape and just whack that down. As we said before, 6 mil for 70-second scale stuff, 10 mil because it's not. It's 9.2 mil or something. But trust me, no one will know. But I use 10 mil Tamiya tape. So I spray the entire thing white, mask off the white stripe bit, so you're left with the black, and then and you're good to go. Very nice. I was surprised as well that they don't actually do the. You don't get them as decals.
That's good.
Cost cutting.
Well, yeah, obviously, but he uses the decals anyway because they never conform. They look blooming awful.
Well, yeah, that is the thing. Don't forget, we've saying about obviously with the size, they were randomly put on as well. So this thing about well, it should be. No, it's not. They were just whacked on. They're fine. So yeah, but anyway, roughly around about 10 mil, you'll be absolutely fine. 2, John Buller. Is the MiG-21 MFM a modernised MF with Western electronics? Is there any external major differences between the MF? Comrade Buller.
Put him on full screen.
I can't. I haven't got him set up on it.
Right, the MFN is the Czech Air Force MiG-21 MFs that were upgraded with standard NATO avionics.
So
I
that's
don't
the
think there's any
MFN.
major external difference with them.
So that was the MFN. Did you say?
MFN.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it's the MF NATO'd.
yeah, basically.
Oh, right, okay.
Czech Air Force.
Right, there you go. Hope that helps, Graham. Sorted. And yes, we're all doing well in the UK. We're in lockdown version 2. Okay, Dominic says, hello, gentlemen. Love the shows and need some assistance. I'm ready to attach the wings to the fuselage of my 148 scale models of it, P51H, and have discovered a major issue in the kit. Dry fitting prior to gluing the wings together did not reveal this, and now I'm stuck. Dry fitting. Okay, I'll put this on full screen because it's a bigger pictures on this one. Dry fitting is completed wing fuselage section and with the rear wing root. Okay, so I'll draw your attention. Fits here. Fits here. Nice. Not so much here because it's sticking out. So this is the scoop, the air intake underneath. Obviously wing out that way. Okay,
Yeah.
and then as you can see, the air scoop isn't centered to the middle of the wing.
Yeah.
Okay, he's also got a gap,
Yeah.
arrow, gap.
Yeah.
There appears to be something out of square. Sorry, I've got a helicopter coming over. I can't tell if it's a fuselage wing. I've not run into the issue like this before. Any suggestions that don't involve major surgery? Easy. Filler,
Sand it.
sand it.
Yeah, but why is
Sand
it
it.
sticking out there? There is obviously some misalignment.
There is something out of line. I'm just looking in here. Is that a bit behind it where that should be in front and then in? See what I mean? Just there. It looks like there's a tiny little bit in the back
know.
there.
I know
Which
it's
might explain then in that one why it's over to one side.
Yeah, because it looks like it wants to go in, which would shove the thing square, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
well that's what I was
sticking
thinking. If that was
out.
pushed in, perhaps that would square that up because it would push it over.
Yeah, it wants to be.
Yeah, because it would be down here, down the back here is that bit that's there at the back. Because obviously this is down this side of the
Yeah.
intake. Surely if that was shoved forward and in, that would pull that across and square that up.
Yeah, it looks like he's not. It's in at a slight angle, isn't it? The wing, it looks like.
Yeah, it's in at a jaunty angle. I think that this needs to be shoved. I reckon that's just a little bit back. Perhaps take a tiny bit off the back of this and then push this
Back.
in.
I was
Or
about
then
to say,
push
I wonder
because
if
it will
it's
come
buried.
forward this way, and then you'll be good to go.
Hey, do you think it could be bearing that's stopping it going
Might
in?
be.
Or
Yeah, it could be a bit of bearing in there.
I've never thinking of models with kits, so I don't know what the tolerances are like. But I know
No.
Rick's built one, and I don't think of any major issues with it. If I can remember, this was February when I'd seen him at an Nantwich show. He built one, and he said the detailing on them's absolutely out of this world. But I can't remember him saying there's any fears. Like I say, it could be a bit of bearing or just something stopping the wing from, going in properly. I don't know.
He's not glued it yet, has he?
No, didn't say so.
I'd do a bit of trimming, bit of
Take
trimming.
it out and have a little look and do a. I think there's something definitely.
Yeah.
It's on that port side, isn't it? Is
Yeah, it's all down that side. It's all out of alignment, isn't it? Something's pulling it around, and it might drop in then. But yeah, there's something definitely going in here. It might be worth giving this a bit of a sand in general to give it a bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously you might have to
I
pop
reckon
back
if he
in.
fixes that at that wing route,
Yeah.
everything will line
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I think it will. I think once that's pushed in,
Yeah.
and then that'll pull that nose across, and then it'll be more square on here. But yeah, there's definitely something going on because that'll probably be. It should be, obviously all in alignment with this.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll take care of that. If not, what I would do is I had a similar join when I did the Hurricane, and what I did was I put a blade down in here and pushed it out and just left the blade in there whilst the glue dried. Then I took the blade out. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yes. But
Tell
again,
you
it's
what,
a good catch. You've caught it
what-
before you've glued it, which is the main thing.
shoot Rick Greenwood a PM because he's built one of them,
Yeah.
and he might, and he might be able to help you unless Rick's watching. He might be watching, but I know he's built one, so he might have like say, oh, it's because of this or this. Do you know what I mean? You need somebody who's probably built one, and
Yeah.
he might be able to help you out more than we can because I've never built the kit. I know I've never even seen one actually in bits. So
Yeah, Dominic's in live chat as well. He says he hasn't committed to glue yet. I would literally just have a little bit of a sand around and just play with it just to see if you can actually drop that in. And you might find that it slots a little bit more, even if that does mean at the front here, sanding a tiny bit in here as well, just to give you some wiggle room. So it's got a little back and forth movement to be able to settle this in. Because, you can easily come back in and fill this if needed,
so the tolerances could be really tight on it.
It might be, very, very tight tolerance on it, and there's no wiggle room in it.
I'm just thinking as well, there's a bit of paint on it. I know it sounds daft, but some of them, we've had it with Airfix. You've got like...
I've had it wing up wings, haven't I?
Nothing fits, and wing up wings are the same, aren't they? And nothing seems to line up and fit. So it might be an idea if there is any paint to take that off back to plastic as well. You just never know.
Again, you've got a fantastic fit on the other winglet. That's absolutely seamless. So it's like, you'd be thinking that want to go the same.
Bang on.
Bang on, yes. Okay, Bennett says, hello team, 2 related questions. Is there a difference in paint quality and use between the following? Real acrylics, Vallejo Air, AK Interactive and Ammo series by MIG? Yes. So real acrylics by AK are a hybrid. So they're like...
That's like Tamiya.
Tamiya stuff, Tamiya or guns, that type of effect. So they're sort of alcohol based. I think they're actually IPA or something else like that. Vallejo Air is a polyurethane based one. So rubbery. Okay. AK Interactive Air Series is similar to Vallejo Air.
So is Ammo, isn't it?
And so is Ammo. Ammo's like a thinned version of those, because theirs are very, very thin. The MIG ones are very thin. Standard joke, MIG thin paints and thinners. But yeah, gets more out of it then. But yeah, so that's what that is. So again, the real colours are the different one really, because the real colours are an alcohol-based one. So you can treat them more like a lacquer, whereas the Vallejo Air, AK Air ones and Ammo are more like a proper acrylic, even though they're like a polyurethane based one.
I don't think he's on about the real colours, is he? He's saying the real acrylics, like Vallejo Air, AK Interactive Air series, Ammo.
Yeah, in that case, they're all the same. Treat them all the same. But say the MIG one, to be honest, is a lot thinner in their colours, which is to say, it just takes more. I didn't like it because it takes more paint to cover anything, but MIG's actually done a video on it. It explains they're deliberately thin so you can build up the layers. So it's like, okay, fair play.
I thought the AK ones you used were really thin as well. You hadn't used MIGs, you used AK here because you used it on your Hurricane and you.
I did. I've still got it here. Look, AK Air Series. It's not as thin as the MIG one though. It's somewhere probably in between. I would say Vallejo Air Series, Model Air, and MIG. It's still quite thin. I used this one the other week on the interior cockpit colour of something or other I was doing it. That's why it's there. So, right. Do you have any preference and why?
Yeah, lacquers.
Get a lacquer. Yeah. I would use
I have no
AK real colours, I would say. So, if I had to go with any of them, to be honest with you, I'd use the Vallejo Model Air. I'm not a mass fan of the AK ones because they're thin. I like because they're a little bit thicker, so they cover better. Okay, speaking of covering better, David says, greetings from Oregon, USA. I've been building the Tamiya F14D 148 scale. I've used Tamiya X18 gloss thin 25% with X28 at 18 psi from around 6 inches away. I'm getting an uneven paint surface, as you can see in the image below. I've also had the same issue on other areas of the model. What in tarnation am I doing wrong here? Well, to be honest with you, you're making tar. So it's way too thick. Too thick, too much air pressure, too far away. There's too much of everything there. So Tamiya standard 50-50 mix minimum, okay? Because otherwise, if your paint's thick, think of it like tar. It's flicking it out and not even amount coming out. And because it's flicking it out, you're getting that speckly effect, as you can see right there. And that's the trouble with it, you know?
That's drying before it's even hit.
I think so. You know, I've talked about that sandpaper effect where it's actually drying in flight. So when it hits the surface, it just sticks. And then the next bit sticks on top of that bit. And then you get this sandpaper effect. Also like vortex rings and stuff. But that's purely because, one, it's a semi-gloss. Because glosses by their nature tend to be more thicker. And the reason for that is so when they land, they've got time to self-level to give you a gloss finish. Okay, but the thing is, if it's flying through the air and literally turning to glue or tar, that's what you're going to end up with. But that's literally just because you need to thin that. I would thin it 60-40, 60% thinners, 40% paint.
Minimum.
You're too far away as well. I would like, you know, as you say, you're saying, was that 6 inches?
Yeah.
Again, it's like 6 inches. That's quite a lot. You know, you can lower your air pressure, probably around about 10-12 psi, half the distance, and just lightly put that down. And it will go on absolutely fantastic, and you'll be absolutely fine with it. But that's just literally a case of your paint's very thick. If you've ever tried to airbrush gloss, you'll know it's a thicker paint. You know, if you're using like just normal flat paint, it's quite thin and you can just put it down. But glosses are always a little bit thicker than that. And the whole point is it's got time to self-level. So when it hits the surface and it's got time to melt into each other to give you a nice glossy finish. Flats and that are textured by their nature. So, but that's literally just what that is.
Absolutely.
Do we all agree with that?
I totally agree with that. So yeah, thinner paint, drop your air pressure and get closer.
Good.
That's it.
So Matthew says, good evening gents, I'm looking to buy a Hawker Hurricane in 48 scale. What's the best on the market? Airfix.
Is that Hurricane or Hunter?
Oh sorry, Hunter. Hawker
Airfix.
Hunter. Yes.
Airfix is the only one to have.
Airfix.
John's built it. John
We've all built it.
I have. Oh yeah, you've built one. I have built one.
I've got one. I've built one as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we all build one.
Eh?
We all built one, didn't we?
Apart from Matt, apparently.
Got wings.
It got wings. He wasn't doing stuff with wings then. But
Yeah.
yes.
It's
It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful kit. One of Airfix's best, to be honest.
Yeah.
So very, very nice kit. So we like that one.
Hey, I tell you what as well. Grab it quick because I've got a feeling that is going to go soon.
You reckon they're going to withdraw it?
Well, it's. I mean, how old is it? A couple of year old, isn't it?
Yes.
That version.
Yeah.
So, doing the lifespan of like what Revell and Airfix do, it's one of them that I think is going to sort of disappear soon.
Yes.
Just in other news, I've had some news today from Airfix.
Yes.
And release dates for stuff. And obviously a lot of stuff been put back until next year, especially the Vulcan and stuff. But the Sea Vixen has been cancelled.
Yes.
So that's done. You know, I ain't coming out anytime soon. Whether they're going to do it again in a few years or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, the Sea Vixen has been cancelled. So those who have got one are now worth a fortune again.
Yeah, all those ones that had them on eBay, you're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to whip through these because we've gone over. Hi Phil, after using crystal clear to making some headlight lenses, one is great but the other one is left what I would describe as a fisheye in the centre. Can you suggest a method of removing it? What, the lens or the fisheye? Soak the new lens would be done by soaking it in warm water. Crystal clear, don't forget, dries like rubber. So you should be able to just get a cocktail stick or a knife into it and pick it out and then you can redo it. The fisheye thing probably is you had a trap of air, an air bubble, and it's never got out. So that's why it's giving you that sort of fisheye look to it. I would just pick it out and do it again. And to be honest, I've done that with many a thing over the years where it's, you know, I've done lights on things and it just doesn't look right. So you just literally pick it out, flick it out, PVA glue in it again and go again with it. And the same with crystal clear, it's dead simple.
It's a joy of crystal clear, isn't it? Because like I say, it goes all rubbery, so you can just like rip it out and start again.
Yes, definitely. P.S. Thanks, Matt, for the replacement parts. What have you been doing? See, doesn't
No
know
idea.
himself.
Sorry.
Okay, Tony says, evening gentlemen, I have never used Mr. Hobby micro masking Sol and was wondering which one to get, the R or the Neo. What are the advantages to the other one? Enjoy the show and the information you put out. Thanks, stay safe, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Neo normal one, which my brush has fallen in. Apparently they all do it. And this one. Okay, so the Neo one is like rubber and it's stretchy. Okay, the R doesn't. So the R just lays flat. The R you can cut with a knife and it doesn't, try and ping back, for want of a better word. Sorry, I just sneeze. Dust. Oh. So yes, so that's literally the differences between it. The Neo is a little bit thinner. So it will run off a little bit more, where the Sol R is thicker. So when you put the R down, sometimes you have to move it around a little bit. But the biggest difference really is this one is more like rubber. Latex. So it shrinks. So if you cut it, it will pull. It will try and shrink back. Where this one, if you cut it, it just lays there.
Right. Can we give them a bit of advice? Do not leave it on.
No.
Because it will stick like...
Yeah, it will eat into
blanket.
your proverbial surface.
It's a nightmare to get off.
Yeah.
And I know from experience.
Yeah. Don't leave it on painted surfaces either, because it will eat into your paint. It's not...
It will.
Yeah, it's not good stuff. As for, which one to go with, personal choice really. As I say, it depends really what you're doing. If you're doing like window masking and stuff like that, the normal Neo's fine for it. If you're planning on ever needing to cut it, then the Sol R. But then, as I say, they're both, as you say, it's quite handy to have both. Although I will say, because you can see here, look, my brush, it's in there somewhere. It fell off. I can't get it out now.
Off, because mine did literally turn to just a blob of latex.
Oh, well, it might be, because to be honest, I can't seem to see it in there anymore. So is that why I'm going to find some bristles in there at some point?
Well, is it still liquid, yours? Because literally mine went off, it was rock hard.
No, mine is both. They're still liquids, because to be honest, I've used the Neo on the Hellcat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see me bristles. Look, there's me bristles. It has it. I think it's eaten the stick.
Yeah, I was going to say to be honest, the brush is useless anyway. It's like a treated brush. You need the thing is, it wrecks brushes, doesn't it?
It does. It's crap on everything. To be honest, get yourself some of these off of eBay. They call them eyebrush applicator glue things. They call them micro brushes. It's like 10 quid for a 5 of them or something if you buy them from a hobby shop. But you can get them off of eBay and all the rest of it, like 100 for a quid. With free postage from China. It's great. Use them for it.
Do you ever use masking fluids?
Not very often.
Now I'm talking to John.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I did on this because I did the old tapeworm tack.
Yeah.
Then Tamiya masking tape in between.
Yeah.
And then for a bit of insurance, I just went over it all with the rubbery one.
Oh, what, to seal the edges, you mean?
Yeah, just to make sure I definitely didn't get any overspray.
Right, okay. What about for clear parts? No, that's where I've come unstuck with it for clear parts. But then I've used it also in sort of, sounds daft, but probably wheel wells. It's just a sod to get off.
Yeah, I think that's the trouble. Once it's on, trying to get it off can be a right pain in the arse.
It's a nightmare to get off, yeah. You'd think it would just peel off in one nice...
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It breaks. And, yeah. Especially if it's old. When it starts to go off, it just breaks up.
Yeah.
Okay, Malcolm says, hi guys, looking for 1mm vinyl tubing. I've searched the internet and can find 2mm at the lowest size. Spoke about this actually earlier. I was saying Hyro Boy because they would do all tubing and various bits and pieces for cars and bikes. So they're quite into all of that. So I would say check with them. If anybody's got another better idea, shout up in chat.
Yeah. Good.
So yes, that's the thing for that. Also, can I say a big thank you to Matt? He will know. Oh, you're doing favours again, are you?
What I'm doing.
Told you about that. You'll get a reputation.
I can't remember what I did this morning, so I've got no clue what happened days ago.
Okay, evening all. I'm going to start on the Hobby Boss 148 scale F105G in the Vietnam and Southeast Asia camo. Is there an optimal primer colour? I usually use black for my stuff, which will up to now has been basically scuzzed up F14s and F18s. But I haven't done the camo before. To be honest, grey. Just neutral grey, yeah.
Yeah. It's the best primer ever colour.
Because it's neutral, that's the whole point. Everything covers grey, it's easy. Unless you're doing, you said, yellows or reds or day glow, then you might want to use white. But grey, because it's just an easy colour to cover, that's the whole point. Also, any thoughts on the Atari 148 scale F111 E and F? A fellow has one for sale for 45 quid and I'm not sure.
No, leave it.
Yeah, the Hobby Boss one is the one you want.
I think that Italy one's the old Academy kit.
It is, yeah.
That's it. No, do the Hobby Boss one.
Do the Hobby Boss one. The Hobby Boss one's got lovely, because that's the old Academy one. It doesn't have, if I remember rightly, flaps or slats or anything else like that. Very basic, whereas obviously the Hobby Boss one's got all of that. So it's a nice kit.
I'd say it's about the same price as well, the Hobby Boss one.
Oh, is it? There you go. Definitely get the Hobby Boss one then.
Yeah.
Brett says, hi guys, can Future be thinned? If so, what with? Oh, I have about a third of a bottle and had it for several years. It doesn't spray well anymore.
Water.
I would have thought just water if you were, yeah. But the trouble with that is you might need a retarder in it then to help break the capillary action, the surface tension.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to be a bit blobby when you spray it.
Blobby.
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 Honestly, Brett, for the amount of money they cost, I would just buy a new bottle. Because it's cheaper now. It's not as expensive as it used to be when it was stupid expensive. But you can buy a bottle for £5 now, isn't it? So
I don't know. Like I said, I don't use it. So
yeah, by the time you prattled around with it, it's probably cheaper to buy a bottle. I must admit, I've got one and it went a bit thick. It started to thicken up over time, and yeah, I binned it off. I think it's easier. Christian says, a couple of weeks ago I asked the team about the colour of the squadron decals in my Eddard Spitfire story kit. You and the team also discussed people removing the clear film of the decals and the disaster that happened. I wrote to Eddard about removing the carrier film and this was their reply. We do not suggest the clear coat should be or must be removed. And we do not include this in the instruction sheet. This was discovered by some of our customers. So I thought that was the whole point of it. It was supposed to be done that way.
Well, isn't that then just a normal decal?
Yeah.
I've got no idea then. I don't know.
That's the ones where they look really dark, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought we were on about the decals, like you could peel the...
Yeah, they were like the GHW ones.
Yeah, but now they're telling you can't peel the carrier film off.
Yeah, they're saying we do not suggest that the clear coat should or must be removed. We do not include this in the instruction sheet.
They're the normal decals.
This was discovered by some of our customers.
I tell you what, I bet they've had an absolute ton of complaints saying, we've ruined
I've ruined my sheet, can I have replacement? Yeah.
Yeah, because we've tried to peel off the backing but shouldn't be peeled off.
Yeah, look, I've tried to test it on the Spitfire decals and it's very difficult to remove the carrier film without damaging the paint. For those who insist on doing this, you must apply the clear gloss coat to the surface to have any chance of it to succeed. Overall, I still wonder if Eddard made a better decal or not. I don't know. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just normal decals then, isn't it?
Yeah.
That needs a bit of further investigating, I think.
I think so, yes, definitely. Lynn says, guys, I'm sorry for adding a long list of questions tonight, but I've been trying and have a lot of fun doing that I've seen on the forum. My models are going to be placed that have never gone to before. It's actually improving my builds. I think I may be getting better, well, at least in my eyes. There you go, Lynn, you're doing all right. I'm wondering just how to do the hairspray chipping technique. I know it should be using cheap hairspray, but how do I use an application decanting the hairspray? I tell you what I will do, Lynn. I will do a thing on it. To be honest, I was going to do it the other week, but I got sidetracked by something else.
Well, I tell you what, if you don't mind, I'm coming to see you.
You are.
And I was going to say, on one of the days, shall we do a bit of a day of doing bite size? So I can do some, you can do some, and we could do the hairspray and some other things. We'll bang it together before, and then we'll plan it, and we'll do the hairspray and chicken fluids and whatever else, and we can go through it and do a few bite size bits for people. Because obviously your setup's a bit more better for doing it than mine at the shop.
Yeah.
At the minute.
Yes.
So. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, short answer to this one is you can't really go wrong with it. Cheap hairspray, you can decant it if you wanted to into a little container and then brush it on, or you just spray the area. Your hairspray dries really quickly anyway, so then you just put your paint over the top of it, and then as soon as your paint's gone down and that's basically dry, start chipping away with it. Just start attacking it, and away you go. It's literally...
Can I just say though, it doesn't matter what paint you use.
Oh yes, definitely. Don't try it with the lack of paint.
We will go through this when we do a quick, a bit of bite size on it. But yeah, it does make a massive difference for what paint you put over it, for what kind of chipping you get. Hello, Molly.
Molly has arrived.
That time.
She heard you then. She's like, where is he? But yeah, it's one of those ones where say there's lots of different ways of doing it, but the basic technique is, as I say, paint your base colour. And then obviously that's your chipping colour. And then obviously hairspray goes in over the top, and then you put on your acrylic paint, preferably over the top of that. Let that dry, and then obviously it's water and a brush, and you start picking at it really to get it to dissolve and get underneath, and then start to lift away.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Gordon says, "Hi team, newish returner, and yes, Matt, things have changed since the model in the 70s. Yes, we no longer use wood."
Or wood glue.
Yeah, tuber glue, wood, and sharp pointy sticks for whittling. Okay, I'm currently building the how do you pronounce that? Is that EHMAR? What's that? An Umar? 72nd demon?
MR.
MR.
Oh God, that's an old kit.
I was going to say, is that from the 70s?
Oh God. Good luck. Don't be put off. There's a lot better kits out there than that. Oh, I'd have gone for the Hobby Boss Demon if you want to do a demon.
Yes, I would have thought so too. There you go. But he said, but still seem to be building old kits. Definitely. Okay, I'm currently building. First coat of paint, all down. I need to weather natural metal area under the tail. That seems to be part of the tail stabilizers. My base is Mr. Hobby Super Metallic Iron 2. It's a good colour. Which is covered beautifully. I want to dull it down and give it a more heat-stressed look. Ideas, please. I tell you what's a good one for it, and it's an old but golden. Hold on, I've lost it.
Makeup.
It is. It's gone. Oh, here it is. Jesus. It's been in that same place for years. Is these, which are the Tamiya makeup weathering sets.
He's lost his eyeshadow.
Yeah, that's it. I've lost my eye. That's why I like the blue. It brings out the brownness in my eyes.
Is that the goth look?
Yeah, it can be off. But these are literally makeup. It is. It's makeup. So all you do, if you want like the blued heat effect, you can just go over it and rub that on top of it, and you can buff it. You see, with your finger or with the little stick or cocktail sticks and all the rest of it. That I've never really used because I don't really get on with it. But that one's a good one as well because that's more of a sooty colour.
What's the middle one?
I don't know. It's supposed to be. It's metallic, isn't it? What do they call it?
Metallic?
Burnt red.
No, right, okay. I'm just thinking of what's in the AK Extremes because they've got a burnt metal colour, haven't they?
Yeah.
But that's a very orange. It looks like rust.
It does, doesn't it? It looks gold. Let's face it. That's what that is because it's just clearly eye makeup.
Yeah. What's the grey one?
Oil stain.
Oil stains, burnt red, and is it? Burnt blue, is it?
Yeah, it's burnt blue, burnt red, and oil stain. But these are great for doing that because literally you just put them on and they sort of burnish into the actual surface, and it'll give you a nice blue look. And the soot one works as well. That's the easiest way to do it. After that, obviously you can get clear colours in blues, you know, burnt metal colours and all the rest of it for bringing those out, and you can do it that way. So most of the manufacturers do like a clear blue. Tamiya do obviously clear blues and things, and you can give them a light coat of that and it gets that heated blue look into it. Some of the other manufacturers like Extreme Metals do them as well, and well, a lot of them do them, various heat colours. So you know, you can do that with it to really bring out those panels and bring them alive. But again, you know, oils, it's a little bit more tricky on doing that because these are clear colours that come through. But with oils, again, you can put in a little bit of blue with oils and, you know, go over it and it will give it effect of as well. So, yeah, one of those ones. Metalwork is that thing. Find a reference and copy it, or as best as you can with it. Because, yeah, it's one of those ones that takes a little bit of playing at till you sort of get it right.
Yeah.
Also, for the overall weathering with the white underside, grey upper and just dark dirt. To be honest, as you can see, I did it on this thing. If I quickly flick over here, which one is it? That one. That's just dark dirt under there. That's just dark dirt wash. And then on the top here, because obviously you see it through the blues, that's just dark dirt and grey mix onto that. But as I say, for white, you can use dark dirt. A lot of people are frightened to use dark dirt because they say it'd be too strong. It's not actually that strong a colour, it just works pretty well with everything. So you can just pop it underneath and go for it that way.
Grime works well as well, doesn't it?
Grime as well, yeah, it's a nice earthy colour on that one.
Yeah.
James says, couple of questions for tonight. First, recommendations for a North Rod P61 Black Widow in 72nd 48th.
72nd is the Hobby Boss one.
Yeah,
48th is Hobby Boss, or the Great Wall Hobbies one. The Great Wall Hobbies one is mint, to be honest. That's a fantastic kit.
Which is the one where you need to have arms that are 12 foot long and legs that go with it?
That's the 32nd
Oh,
Hobby
right,
Boss.
that was it, yeah.
But definitely 72nd is the Hobby Boss one, because the only other one you've got is the old Dragon one, or the really old Airfix one, and in 48th it's the old Monogram one, but obviously they've been superseded now by 4 superior kits.
Yes.
But yeah.
Secondly, those of the team whose workshop is in the shed or garage, what insulation, if any, did you use?
Proper thingy insulation, the orange insulation, I think, it's behind here or whatever it is.
Well, in my unit outside, we use Celotac stuff.
Yeah, I've got sheep's wool.
Yeah, John's environmentally friendly. He's got lambs behind his.
He has.
And
yeah.
bodies.
And it's toasty warm, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It does get nice and toasty in here, yeah.
To be honest, mine does in here. It's lovely. It's like it's a very pleasant environment to be in. Definitely insulate your sheds.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like the unit outside, which is basically a glorified shed on mine. It's got that Celotex stuff in there, the big thick stuff. And amazingly, out in that, when we had all the snow and everything, I've got literally one of these penny an hour oil radiators, and it's like an oven in there. It keeps it really nice.
Yeah.
So
I've
but
got
yeah,
one here. It's just an little oil filled radiator, and it's perfect.
Yeah, very nice indeed. So yes. Darren says, hi guys, on the members tab on your website it has a repetition source for each member. How does this work? Right, next to here you got a little thing and it's got a little like this post. Literally it counts that. We don't use it, it's part of the site and I didn't turn it off. Well, it used to have a thumbs up and a thumbs down, but seeing as we don't have any negativity at all on this site, I took the thumbs down off. So you can only have a like button. So basically it counts all your likes and then on your thing it's got your reputation there and it's just a count of all the likes you've ever had. So that's how that works. Andrew, hi all, first live show, hello to you all. Andrew, I did get your email and your letter and I've got you something which will probably maybe even go out tomorrow. I'll get it out to you tomorrow. You'll know what it is. Can I ask about canopies? I usually ruin them. I always end up with a crooked ruined paintwork after unmasking. Have you any tips for doing a good job? I always attach the canopy prior to painting and I find it protects the cockpit before masking. It's nice to be back after 6 months online. Well, it's good that you're back, Rodders. We're all a bit worried about you because we know obviously you can only get to us every now and again, and but obviously you're all well, which is good. Anyway, Matt, you're the masking expert.
So he was on about, what did he say? Canopies.
Canopy masking. How do you? So it's not crooked or anything else like that.
Just go and buy a mask set. Don't even just pick a kit where you can get a head-on mask or somebody else's, anybody's.
Yes.
Life's easy. Life is just easy. Don't overcomplicate it for yourself. What do you agree, John?
Yeah, if you can get a mask set.
For what it is, the amount of time you will save faffing cutting and generally just sitting here for a night, you can do it in like even Philip's a convert now to mask.
I am absolutely. After doing that B17, I have to say Matt was right.
After ripping me for
I don my hat. I've ripped the crap out of him for years about he won't do anything without a mask set. But actually, I tried to hand mask or bare metal foil that B17 and almost threw it out the window. Put on a mask set, and that was 3 hours trying to do it with bare metal foil, and literally it almost went out the window. Mask set, 20 minutes, entire thing's done and sprayed. And it was like, why did I mess around for all these years? So, yes, I do agree.
I think with anything, there is certain things where really, if you're doing like a fighter, you know, a World 2 fighter, mask set can be a bit over the top for 4 pieces or however much it is. But if you're doing something a bit more complex like you with a bomber, or it's got a lot more glass.
Yeah, World War II stuff tends to have a lot more bars.
Yeah. And obviously now the amount of companies that are doing them, it's not just dead hard. Everybody's, you know, and you can pretty much, I reckon, get a mask set for
pretty much everything now. Yeah,
I would say a lot of kits, and even some obscure stuff you wouldn't even think would have them.
Yes. Yeah.
You can from certain companies. So yeah, can't recommend them enough really for the bang for buck, as you say.
Definitely, absolutely. So this is a better picture. And as we can see, I reckon that's what that is. That is actually, I reckon, the main strengthening bars, you know, and then obviously the outer bits are put to it. You know, so obviously it's the riveting, what do they call it? I don't know what the actual technical term for these is. Formers, is it? I don't know, whichever way it is, but I think that's what it is. That could almost be a gasket underneath it, looking at it. But if you look at these, that's what that is. It's almost like it's had a wash around it. So you could probably come in with an oil wash and just let it track and do its bit right the way around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I go full screen, there you go. That's what I think that is. So I think you could almost get away with just make up a thin wash, oil wash, and just let it track if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. Well, the only other thing is, if you've not painted it, is obviously get some really thin mask, paint it the colour, and then mask them off.
Yeah.
And then paint, and paint the colour of the rest of it. So you've got that grid effect underneath.
Yes.
And I suppose actually, if you take the masking off, you could go over it just to blend it in.
Yeah.
So with really, really, really thin paint.
Yeah.
Just like pre-shading, really, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But no,
You know,
it'll add a nice bit of detail to it, to be honest, if that's the type of thing you're planning on doing, having it look like it's separated. So the actual petals are open at the top of the stage. Yeah, nice job. Be interesting. Yeah. Very nice indeed. Yeah. Okay, let me just ping through the last couple here. Got 2 more. Hello, Phil and team. Is there a reason for the paint cup on an airbrush being at an angle? Is it so the paint at the angle on the flat surfaces that you don't spill your paint? To be honest, I always thought it was just that thing of like it's running down the needle, gravity fed. So obviously being at that angle, which is what, I don't know, 25 degrees, maybe 30 degrees. I thought it was just this thing. So your natural holding of the airbrush is at that angle. So it's level. So the colour cup's level, but the airbrush is pointing slightly down.
Yeah, but if you tip it up, you don't want it falling out. Tip it up.
Yeah.
You know about the colour cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they angled back?
Why are they always angled slightly back?
But if you tip it up, you know, if it was level, it'd just run out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I was saying, because obviously, technically, there you go, that shows, it's probably like 45 degrees, isn't it? I've never really looked at it and studied it, to be honest, but yeah, So that's probably about 45 degrees, isn't it?
It is just how you hold it, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
so I
what-
think it's just because it's the angle you hold your airbrush, isn't it? Because normally you're spraying like this and spraying down. Let's face it, 90% of the time you're not spraying level, you're spraying like this. So it's probably the reason they do it.
Yeah, well, you spill your paint.
But if you have side feed ones, normally they're level.
Yeah, but you
can
flip
usually
it,
rotate them
can't
as
you?
well.
Yeah, you just rotate it so it's
To the angle you want. So side feed ones, I used to have one with a tiny little cup. It was like a spoon hanging out the side, but that you could actually rotate it 360 degrees. So if you were spraying directly down, and it was always quite handy because you used to be able to do this without the risk of it coming out the top, you know?
Don't you think though? You know, like the gravity feed one compared to like you say the side. The
Side feed ones.
Yeah, the colour cut blocks what you're looking at.
Yes. Yeah.
Where the side feed ones, you're just looking like down the barrel of the airbrush.
Yeah.
Siphon filled, aren't they? Them ones, siphon feed or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
So they're actually, I don't like them aesthetically. I think they're ugly looking with the bloody thing attached to the side. But practicality wise, they're actually nicer because you just ain't got something blocking your view.
Yeah. It was
That's
brought to
why
my
I quite
attention
like
once
the-
that there was an airbrush manufacturer actually put a laser on the bottom of them. It was like, why? Because it's not that bad to know where it is, but that way you know where your paint's coming out of. But it had a laser on the bottom of it, so it put a spot where your paint was going to go. It was like, that's got to be the most
Laser
overkill.
guided paint.
Yeah, laser guided paint.
Was it eye water?
It's overkill, but I want one.
Well, just so you
Yeah,
can
I
blind
think that.
people.
Does it?
But yeah, it was like,
does
I
it.
just don't get that at all. Because also, I would have thought that the laser would have been so bright, you wouldn't have seen what you're spraying. You know, because it would look red
it could,
wherever
yeah.
you are. It's just going to have this red dot. I didn't get that.
Hey, it depends what colour laser's in it.
Well, yeah, you could put, I suppose, put a blue one in it.
Green one,
Green, yeah.
laser, a yellow. Yeah.
Another question. There seems to be more armour coming out in the last month than aircraft. Seems that armour is better representative. Also, a lot of helicopters have come out recently in the last 5 months. Aircraft being left a bit. What's your take on this, Bill and the team? Again, it's just that thing. Sometimes you get tons of everything. Let's face it. We've had, you know, what was that thing the other month that came out and then everyone's doing one? Certain kits of certain, like Spitfires, Mark 1. All of a sudden, you got 3. You know, and so you do tend to get that sort of type of thing with it. So again, I still think that manufacturers, from a percentage point of view, still probably do like 60 or 70% is aircraft, because that's got more popular in the hobby as a general. It certainly is. If you look at stats from me, it's still like 70% of it is aircraft led. Then everything else sort of, you know, falls in behind it and everything else. But you've always got that big thing of it. But again, when things get released, as you say, at the moment it's all over the place with a lot of things. But yeah,
I was going to say, I don't think this year you can count it because of delays and you know, because of what's been happening with the pandemic. This year is just all over the place. I don't think you can judge this year for releases, like I say, from aircraft to armour to anything else, because everything's just gone out the window, hasn't it?
And I think the last few years as well, there's probably more armour specific manufacturers now, aren't there?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so last question. Christopher says, does AK Real Colour act like Tamiya XF series with X28?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, as I say, I actually really liked it. First time I proper used that stuff in anger, the Air series, because it's more of a satin finish. It's actually that I found the armour one is very flat, incredibly flat. But that stuff literally goes down just like guns or Tamiya. It's really, really nice stuff. It's got good colour, it's got great coverage. It's really hard to fault it. In fact, I can't see a negative with that stuff. It's really nice stuff. Enjoyed using it.
I like it. But I've only used it on armour, like I said, and it's really flat, but I still liked it. I think it went down, you know, fantastic. And again, with armour, you're not really thinking to have a glossy finish anyway, or even a satin.
No, that's it.
so much. It's not so critical, I suppose, as aircraft, because obviously there's less deckling to do, and you know the weathering from armour to aircraft is different anyway with the mediums you're using.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if you are doing the armour, you can always drop a bit of X22 in it to make it satin or GX100 or something like that, or even Attacker's clear, gloss coat.
Yes.
And you can make it semi-gloss, can't you?
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
you can as well with Tamiya paints, because they're really flat, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, dog's back.
Well, I think she's saying we're overrun and she needs a pee.
I think so, yeah. We've only overrun by 40 minutes.
I know, I've only got 40 minutes. Don't forget, Val, we'll sort these people out. We'll say goodbye and then I'll let you out, alright? It's like, God, I'm dying here.
Yeah, hurry up.
Lovely. One last thing to mention. Obviously, we've got the auction on Sunday. If you're looking for it, just show them where it is, because I've had a couple of people say I can't find it. If you go to live shows, click in live shows, and it's at the front. We've just pinned it at the front for the auction, and then obviously I'll put us up at the top of here, or you can watch it usual places all over the other ones as well. But that is where all the lots for the auctions are. Me and Matt went through them obviously all on Wednesday's show and talked them all through. But as I say, we've got some good stuff coming up on there. So we'll be live with you at 7 o'clock. So if you want to come along with us and join us, even if you just fancy an evening of, well, prattling about, usual things, we will be there, as always, to entertain you. And hopefully some of you get some bargains as well right the way through. But you see, we've got some nice stuff in there, this thing. Bit of a mix of everything. As I said, the auctions are going to come sort of thick and fast now, aren't they? Now we've sort of got it all sorted.
At least.
Yes, so that's the plan with it. So if you want to come and join us on Sunday night, 7 o'clock, we will be up with you. So it'd be nice to have you along with us on that one. I'll be with you tomorrow, obviously, just for the quick roundup show, and obviously for the next part, which I can't even remember what part we're on now, for the Hellcat, which is going to cover all the paintwork and everything else like that. So for that, we are using Hatakas, and we use Tamiya mixed with Hatakas as well. We talk about that. So obviously we are laying down white. This is going to be more about masking, and then going through the intermediate blue and then the dark blue onto that one as well. So that will be up with you as well. Lovely. Thank you very much for joining us, John. Thank you for joining us again, Matt.
No problem.
Okay, say good night, gentlemen,
problem.
because we're out of here, because otherwise the dog's going to pee.
Bye.
Right. Thank you very much for watching,
Bye.
guys. Happy
See you
modelling. Take
later.
care. Bye.
Bye.